Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap, 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think, 'cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his mind. His
So lads, it's nice to join you again after a very, very good Challenge Cup weekend. 4 games, they were all really good to watch. But a brilliant result for Wigan. I don't want to talk about it too much just yet, but lads, how's your week been? Matty?
Fantastic. It's nice to be sitting here talking to you about a win. Maybe this last couple, but yeah, brilliant.
Lewis, how's your week been, alright?
Yeah, no complaints. Very good and obviously a very nice weekend. Back to winning ways, and obviously in a cup, when it's do or die, that's when you want to get back to winning ways.
Against a rival too.
Against a
It's
rival.
very nice to
It's absolutely fantastic. How have you been, Tom? We never ask you how you've been.
Brilliant.
There you go.
Just bouncing.
We're back on top this weekend.
We're back to winning ways.
Warrington were going to win the treble, weren't they? They were going to win everything. They'd won the league leaders in March. They were going to win the grand final in March. They might never have lost another game, from what I understood.
Darryl Powell was singing Wigan songs in a bar in
Yeah,
France.
yeah. I wonder what bar he went to. Do you reckon Berkeley Square were open or something? Nah, I don't think he'd been in there, would he?
Well, with his team selection, I'm not sure. But out here at standoff.
Well, we'll question that in a little.
I think if his players were in Berkeley Square because they couldn't catch a bloody ball first. I think they all would have come for the fight.
Well,
You're right.
Well, let's start actually before the match with selection. There was quite a few changes. He named an unchanged side.
Who's this, Pete?
No,
Powell.
Powell, sorry.
Neil.
It was a very, very big starting team.
Yeah, you said
thought-
last week he went big early and then small bench.
Yeah.
And he was moaning a few weeks ago about, I have to start Cassiano and it's such a terrible thing. Cassiano's so much better off the bench. We'll play him off the bench then.
Yeah. But Clark at 13 and have Cassiano off the bench.
Especially when he's trialled Clark at 9. Trialled Clark at 13. I get that they've obviously lost Maguire and they've lost McKaylee. Joe Philbin could do a very decent job at 13.
I still like Joe Philbin. I think he's a decent player.
I think he's a decent player.
Especially with how they play 13, because they don't play a ball playing 13.
Yeah.
Unless Clark plays there,
He's an
really.
extra
Everything
prop.
else is an extra prop. So Bullock could do a job there.
Yeah.
Philbin could do a job
Even
there. Vaughan could do a job there. Puts an there.
I just don't get it.
He comes out with all kinds of...
He was just... He is that kind of a person, Powell, isn't he, after a loss, where he just seemed to get the excuse book out.
It was a strange one for me because my first thought was Vaughan and who else started at prop? I've completely forgot now.
Was it Dodson?
Vaughan and Dodson, sorry, yeah, the ex-Wiganer. They had Harrison at second row, and I know they're missing Matty Nicholson because of his injury.
He was out for a while.
But Harrison's got number 8 on his back. He was lined up to be a prop.
Mm.
Then you got Cassiano on the
13. It's the
at
biggest
13.
pack they could have played.
Yeah, the only way it could get any bigger is they play Bullock at other second row.
Yeah.
So you're a bit
Instead of
surprised at
Curry.
that. To then look at the bench, to only have one big prop. Joe Philbin's not the biggest, but your bench was Darryl Clark, who's a 9, Joe Bullock, Lucas Green, and
Yeah.
Joe Philbin.
Yeah.
That is a big drop off from starting 17.
I think the big... When I was walking to the game, we were trying to work out why Smithies was on the bench. And I think, or at that point I thought, it was because Cassiano would be coming off the bench himself. And that Smithies was there to shore up the defence against Cassiano.
Yeah.
Because Powell has said in the past how much he likes playing Cassiano off the bench. As it happens, he went with all his big boys apart from Bullock, who I actually thought was pretty decent in this game. I thought Bullock was good. But he went with all his other big boys on the pitch. Harrison, like you mentioned, Dudson, Cassiano, Vaughan. I mean, there's some big boys there, aren't there?
But it's weird. We've talked about Wigan having a few injuries and missing a few players and not being able to get that balance of the starting team to the bench side, where we were going with a bench that consisted of pretty much Singleton, Harvey Hill and Mago last week, and before that we didn't have Singleton.
Yeah.
To this week, our bench looks more comparable to our starting lineup. So we started big with Havard, Byrne, Ellis. But off the bench you've got Brad Singleton, Morgan Smithies and Harvey Hill.
And Brad Singleton didn't really come off the bench until the last 10 or so.
Yeah,
minutes,
Brad
did he?
Singleton didn't do long minutes, but you're looking at Morgan Smithies. That's a player who could do 80 for you if you pick up an injury off your bench. Harvey Hill.
Impressive again.
I did like, Harvey had a very good game.
Impressive
Some
again.
experience in Brad Singleton if you just need a prop to play 15-20 minutes to manage a game for a bit like he did.
I was pleased that Harvey Hill kept his spot ahead of Mago because I think both those players deserve that to have happened. I think Mago's been pretty poor all season, and I think that Harvey Hill deserves his chance because every time he's been in, he's not let us down. He's played well. So I'm glad that Hill kept his spot on the bench when obviously Havard was back this week. And when do you want to talk about Ethan Havard?
Well,
Talk about him now.
yeah, it was quite an interesting point because we said at the end of the last episode that we didn't know if Havard was going to be fit or not because we hadn't named the 21 at this point.
Yeah.
And I made the bold call of I think Havard and Cooper are our best two props.
Yeah.
Rightly or wrongly. Ethan Havard, for me, proved on Sunday that not only is he the best prop in Wigan, he's in the conversation for being one of the best props in Super League. We've tied him down to a 4-year contract, which is absolutely massive news. But just look at his match stats. Bear in mind he's come off of a dislocated elbow. His elbow was facing the wrong way 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think it was only 4 weeks ago, actually.
Yeah. 65 minutes.
22nd of May it was, wasn't it, when he broke his elbow?
He took 20 carries, averaging 9 metres a carry,
Yeah.
making 37 tackles. This is a bloke who was injured.
How many minutes was that again?
65 minutes.
Wow.
And like you say, 65 minutes when you're getting through that amount of work is impressive. I know I say because unfortunately I wasn't at the game, I had to watch it on the TV. And after the game, when Matt Chapman for BBC was interviewing Matty P, he said that Wilkin had actually texted him after the game. Attempted to text to Matt Chapman saying Ethan Havard has just put in one of the best front row performances we've seen in the last 10 years.
Every carry he made, I don't think he got dominated. It was amazing to see how good his footwork was at the line. To pick a target defender and just as you get to contact, to just have not even a full sidestep, just a bit of a shimmy to get onto someone's shoulder, land on your front, get us to play the ball, and Toby King and Abbas Miski and the backs could punch holes after that. He was the start of that momentum for us, rather than it being on our backs to get us going.
And to set that against what he did in defence, where he put on 3 or 4 absolute monster shots and forced knock-ons at important moments, key moments. It was an immense performance.
It was everywhere. I remember watching it all the time, thinking, that's Havard again, and he was all, except from the 15 minutes he was off, when he was on the field, he was always on the screen. He was just everywhere on that field on Sunday. It was a fantastic performance.
Now, let's start, because talking about Havard's performance leads into the next major point at the start of the game.
Why did he have to do 65 minutes?
He had to do 65 minutes, and that probably wasn't the plan. He might have done 60 minutes, who knows? I don't know what Matthew Pete's plans were, but Cade Ellis gets a red card. Out of them 65 minutes, 58 of them were in a team that had 12 men. Against a side with Paul Vaughan, Gil Dudson, Cassiano,
Joe Bullock,
James Harrison, Joe Philbin,
Ben Curry.
And he's been the standout prop. Now, Ellis, I don't know what caused it. I don't know why he did it. An absolute brain loss moment. I can't think of the right term.
Brain explosion.
Yeah.
Brain fart.
Brain fart,
yeah. That was what I was looking for.
We got a repeat set
The first one we've had in about 3 weeks. Because we said about last week, trying to build pressure, spend some time down. We do that in the opening 5 minutes.
From some great defence from Marshall. And then Ratchford comes over, running his mouth. But you just got to ignore it. You've got the ball. You've won the situation as a Wigan player. You've got to ignore that. Ellis runs over to him, gives him a bit of a shove. At this point, there's nothing going to be done about it. Everybody rushes in. Still nothing really probably would be done about it. Ellis sort of moves his head in the direction of Ratchford.
I don't think it helps that he's got the back of Ratchford's head and almost pulls it in.
But the first one would have been fine. Then there's a hand comes swinging over the top. I'm not even sure it's Ratchford's hand that hits Ellis. But Ellis assumes it is and goes in for what is more of a headbutt. On that, you've got no complaints about it being a red card. Because he did move his head towards another person's head and made his nose start bleeding.
He's give the ref the option to send him off.
Well, I think he gave the ref no choice.
It was.
I think he gave the ref no choice. At first, he would have been maybe off for 10 minutes, but with that second lunge that really connected with Ratchford's nose, I think he gave the ref no choice. He had to give him a red card, and after 5 minutes, I mean, it's pretty much impossible, isn't it, to win after 75 minutes with 12 men. You can do it if there's a man sent off at half time, and you can do it if there's a man sent off after an hour. It's not usually so bad, but when you're playing pretty much the whole game with 12 men and it's 0-0, it's almost impossible to get anything out of that game.
It was a strange one with that incident that, like I said, it happened after we got the repeat set. I was talking to my dad saying what our thoughts were in the first 5 or 6 minutes and good start, whatever.
We'd won the arm wrestle.
And I was going, we're getting the better of the field position. That happened and I wasn't even looking. So I missed the incident at the game. The guy behind me said, he's in trouble here before the red had come out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really see the replay on the screen just because of the angle that we were sat at and people standing up and whatever.
It wasn't the easiest to see from where I was either. I couldn't really see it on the screen. It's only from watching it back that I think it's a clear.
But that's it. I had texted a couple of people, and their response was, "It's not a full headbutt. He's not smashed his face in, but it's a red."
If I think about when Zach Cardiaker got a red card for headbutting Tompkins, that was 2 or 3 proper headbutts where he launched into him. Yeah. This wasn't like that, and I don't know. He's got 3 games plus the one that he was red carded for, so it's basically 4-game ban. I can't remember what Hardiker got for that, but I don't think it was that many.
But I do think, just in general, we can't really look at bans from 2, 3, 4 years ago because they are being quite clear that they are banning people longer now. Don't do it. Don't give him the option.
There was no need, was there, like Matty said before. You've won that situation. You've pinned them back. You've threw the guy over the side, not the side, the dead ball line. Forced a drop out. Like, you've just won that situation. I don't know what's brought them together. And Ratchford said something. Maybe they've had a bit of beef in the opening couple of minutes. He was kind of going in, giving him some stick or whatever. But there's no need for it. He needs to control himself. And he knows that there was images at half time of him going round in the sheds and like shaking the players' hands and apologising and. So I think he knows. He kind of learned from it. He regretted it, I think, once it happened. So hopefully he learns from it. And
yeah, because I've been really impressed with him.
I have as well. And he's gonna miss this. He's gonna miss the games against Salford, Huddersfield, and Wakey, and then he'll be back for past that. So we'll be back for the semi-final and actually the game before, which is against Lee, isn't it?
Yes.
So we'll be back for that game, but. So he's going to miss the next 3.
Let's go onto the game. There was 4 tries in this game.
Yeah. 2 each, and Harry Smith's goal kicking one of them.
Yeah,
I know.
All
with
this
one
time,
from the sidelines,
was
right on the touchline.
It was the last blade of
straight
grass.
through the middle. No doubt about it.
Miski put that ball on the last blade of grass that was green, not white.
So
and he kicked it.
That was a try for Toby King, opened the scoring, and Smith converted. Bullock then scored almost 40 minutes later. Ratchford kicked that goal, made it 8-6. Harry Smith had kicked a penalty in between them. A very clever. I'm not one for taking 2 a lot. Me and Lewis always joke about it at games.
6-0 up, you go for the 2.
In a Challenge Cup semi-final, you'd take the points on.
6-0 up, you go for 2, especially if it's an easy kick.
With 12 men, I wasn't more bothered about the 2 points. It was the minute you get to take the kick, the minute you get to reset.
Well, it's two
just
scores,
just
though,
2
then.
minutes, but just 2 minutes of having a rest.
Especially when they've got a decent kicker.
I always think when you've got
19, Ratchford.
12 men, you almost need to make the game as short as you can. Take as much time out of it. Our game management in this game was probably the best it's been for the last 3-4 years.
I think this was the best, not even just because we had 12 men. Maybe if the blueprint changed because we had 12, so we had to change our style. But I would argue if that was the case, don't change it. Play like that when you've got 13.
Yeah.
We talked last week about the fact that we try and score off every play. There was no real, I think I used the word patience, no good kicks in behind. This week, we completely changed. Smith's kicking game, obviously off the tee, got the goals to win us the game, but if it weren't for Thewlis for Warrington, because he was up against Marshall, who's no slouch in the air, and every single kick was 5 metres off their try line. And Thewlis was doing well, to be fair to him, to get up and claim them, but then they were just starting sets, and Wigan were just going, right, go on then, and go 95 metres.
Yeah.
Either get a repeat set or go 95 metres, and that is what. And then we were doing good defence, restricting territory. They haven't put kicks in. Williams is the best short kicker in the league, not known for his long kicking. Matauti was at other scrum half. So they were struggling with it. It was that we should take that blueprint now into our games. That's how we should play.
Because their kick in general, you would say, kick in general play would be Drinkwater, who was missing.
Exactly. And even not, that should be our thing. Just go there. You've got a good kicker in Smith. Put it 5 metres off the line. We talk about Wigan's defence all the time, don't we? And Pete prides himself on defence. Well, back it. Put him 5 metres off the line. Right, go on then, go 95 metres. And it was so good to see, I thought.
I asked the question of what team has the ability to consistently go 95 metres downfield. There is no kicker in Super League, probably bar maybe a Mark Sneed, who can really put a good 50-60 metre kick in to get you out of danger. He's the one that's known for the 40-20s, or maybe an Abdul.
Yeah.
But even then, they're not the most consistent with them kicks. They don't do it.
No, you can't do it every time.
Every set, bang, 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 bang.
And the team against them can sort of set up for it as well.
Yeah. We just played this game so clever. And it was one of them kicks that actually led to the first try, but it was to the opposite wing. They went across.
Yeah, and King got it, didn't he?
To Miski's wing. He leapt really well. Kick just probably 2 metres short of the in goal. Right on top of the Warrington players. Miski gets a run and a jump, knocks it back. And Toby King does really, really well.
Yeah, he didn't rush at this chance, did he?
He didn't panic.
He's very clever.
He collects the ball, pushes himself and tries to fall over the line. He's sort of getting held up and then just places it down with his hands. It was a very calm and collected finish.
Yeah. It reminded me a bit of some of the old Tompkins tries that he used to score, where he was held up maybe, but his arm could just get free and he could get the ball planted down.
Yeah.
So then, for a player who obviously is under a bit of pressure coming against his parent club, rumours of whether he's going to stay at Wigan, is he going to go back to Warrington, his name's been in the news all week. To have such a presence of mind to finish like that was a brilliant finish.
And it was good work from Miski as well, because he didn't just jump up and whack it volleyball style. He actually caught it. And
what, like Joe Philbin did, where he volleyed it 10
don't know
15
what
metres
Joe
in
Philbin
front
was
of him.
doing. That was the bit. That was the only time they touched the ball in hour 20 in the first half, I think, when Philbin punched it. But he caught it, and it was kind of more like a delicate pass back.
It was good. It was interesting that they did it that time and it worked. Then I think every other time they went to Thewlis' wing, probably because Marshall's, don't know what Marshall's like in the air.
Yeah.
But to be fair, Thewlis, who was the best player on pitch for Warrington, he played an immense game. He claimed all the eyeballs and he was good. But actually, it was bad from our point just to see us. Okay,
just
we're
on
going 95 metres.
Thewlis, it's really interesting. Like when they lost those 2 games earlier in the year against us and against St Helens, I mentioned on the podcast that I'd seen some Warrington fans saying, "Oh, I can't wait for Thewlis to be back."
Yeah.
Like he's so important to us, and and I was saying like it's a lot to put on a 19-year-old. That the whole hopes of the team. But every time I'm seeing him, I know why now, because he's really talented, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's really
He
talented.
looks like a serious player.
His tackle to put Marshall in touch. I know obviously they had the extra man at that point, and we couldn't really create an overlap, but it was a great tackle. Marshall.
Well, let's talk about that. That came from a bit of a funny situation. Jake Wardle and Joe Bullock, head to head, they both went off for a concussion assessment.
Yeah, just before half time. Well, it was about 15 minutes before half time, wasn't it?
But it was a funny one really, because it was a last tackle. So everyone was set for a Harry Smith kick. We were 45 metres out.
There was no quick play the ball, you mean?
There's no quick play of the ball. There's no momentum. And I'm going, Smith's going to have to do well here. Both the wingers have dropped back, full backs there. He's going to have to do well to get a good kick off here. And in reality, they've almost read that and used the speed of Jai Fields with a little chip over the top. It was very, very, very brave.
Yeah.
And
With
without George Williams grasping onto the back of his shirt,
Field scores.
he's on the run at Dufty,
Field walks
and I'm backing him to score. Because of that, and Williams did so well defensively to almost just sweep round and manage to get a grab. It allowed a few players to get back, and we're going to have to go through the hands out to Marshall for Thewlis to make a brilliant tackle on Marshall, an absolute ball and all challenge.
Put him in touch.
But that was something that I really like to see, that we'd almost planned and gone, Smith's going to be under pressure here, they're going to fly out, going to put kick pressure on because it's a controlled restart. And we played the game.
Good point, that.
We were ahead of the game and more prepared.
He's intelligent, Harry Smith, isn't he? He's got a good rugby brain, and he's, we saw that come off against St Helens, didn't we? A little chip over the top in the centre of the pitch for Field. So it's something they clearly work on. There must be a time when they give each other the heads up, or Field says to Smith, right, come on, I'm ready, let's go, and it works, which is good to see.
So then that sends us in at half time at 8-0, and it's 15 minutes in.
Before we move on, to the second half, can I just mention, because I've noticed this, and this was one that threw me for a team that's been doing, because obviously Warrington's been impressing people this season. First half completion rate for Warrington below 50%.
Yeah, wow.
You can't win games like that.
I was thinking, I didn't got the completion rate on the stats on telly, but I remember thinking, because obviously those drop balls, they were turning it over, loads of errors, and I remember I was texting my brother, and I actually said, I bet their completion rate is below 50%, and it come up that they had 8 completed sets and 9 incomplete sets.
They were struggling really to keep hold of the ball, weren't they? It was, I know a lot of it was ferocious defence, and a lot of it was just poor skill on their part. But those two things did combine to leave Warrington going into half time thinking, we've shot ourselves in the foot here. We've had a chance against 12 men. And Darryl Powell actually said, what are we doing to ourselves at half time? 8-0 down against 12 blokes. But I think the body language wasn't great at half time.
No.
I looked up and Tom was about 15 rows behind me, if anyone is interested, and he was waving like me saying, look at Vaughan. He was sitting down on the pitch, and a few of the others were hands on knees, really struggling, really thinking like we should have got something out of that first half. And to be 8-0 down, it's really a poor result. But it was fantastic for Wigan. The penalty goal actually for Smith was on 23 minutes. That was from a good kick as well for Marshall, where there was an offside, wasn't there, from Warrington, where they were cleaning up the kick through for Marshall, a chip over the top.
Yeah.
And I thought if that sat up, Marshall was going to score. It was a clever kick, but there was a penalty that we took advantage of to make it 8-0.
But way too many. Sorry to interrupt you as you go on to the second half. I just thought it was a point to make. That first half for Warrington was absolutely shambolic, and Powell would have been very frustrated at half time.
I think he was.
12 men losing, but then less than 50% completion rate. Simple errors.
They were never giving themselves a chance.
No.
When you've got 12 men, what you really don't want is scrums and 6 agains and sets on your line where you have to defend your own line. Because when you've got 12, it's pretty much impossible to defend your own line.
Well,
you can defend up the field, and you can defend in midfield quite comfortably. But defending your own line is pretty much impossible because you've got no space to, like, you can't do that.
You can't buy time, can you?
You've got no space to buy time. So they didn't actually earn the right to attack our line.
No.
They never completed high. They never pinned us deep. They never hunted the mistake. It was just not what you mentioned before, Lewis, about us being really clever and having 12 men and having a great game plan for being with 12 men. They had a terrible game plan for playing against 12 men. They just thought if they play it now, they'll win easily, and they were overplaying. They were chucking daft offloads all the time.
Well, this is where what I wanted to say before we do move on, because you just reminded me, Lewis, that everyone seems to say that when you go playing against a team with 12 men, you've got the extra man, the space will be out wide. You can go coast to coast, and that's the issue. You try and go coast to coast too early, and that brings errors in. You're actually better centralising your attack, going more direct, going more down the middle, and making your second rowers and even your centres get dragged towards the sticks.
Yeah, exactly. Shoulders in.
And then the play goes. They want to keep the width. They don't want you punching holes in the middle field. If you want to go side to side, you can use the touchline as a defender.
Well,
You
can quite comfortably just shift.
Just move side to side.
You can do a sliding defence with 12 men as well as you can with 13, really. If you're just going to put it through the hands, it's easy to defend against. You have to actually create the opportunity, and you actually have to earn the opportunity. And I think that's what Powell would have been furious with, is that they didn't earn the chance. They didn't get the right to be on our line and attack.
We said a couple of weeks ago, you've got to complete sets to win games. You've definitely got to complete sets to win quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So, into the second half, we're going 8-0 at the half-time thing. And all the discussions, I spoke to you, Matty, at the game, was we have to get the next points. That was my thought. Next points, and Warrington could be really, really nervous.
You just know momentum's so huge when it's like that. And for the one hand, we were hanging on a bit in the end of the first half, and we were obviously tired because
we needed the break.
We needed the break. But on the other hand, they needed the break as well because they were dropping the ball quite a lot, and you thought, well, they're not going to be that bad in the second half, and momentum's now going to shift their way.
I agree. We really got to come out in that second half and get a bit of momentum back in this game. And it was it the second set that they actually dropped the ball and we get the ball back on the fort? Was it the second or third set? Straight after half time.
It was very
very early
after. So
and we get the ball back and I went, this is our chance here. If we can get one. We spent a bit of time down on their line then. We didn't really create. We were happy to go set for set with them and go back to that controlled style.
Yeah, I didn't mind
working. Yeah.
I didn't mind that.
I think Pete Smith running things we just said. Right, it's more of the same. Let's get, like you said before, let's get our outside backs punching holes, playing straight. We'll have our forwards, Singleton off the bench, Burr when he was playing, Havard rolling over the top, making yards. We'll try and get into good territory. They were making the errors, so we was invited to put the pressure on their line. Instead of trying to score off every set, we just went, you know what, right, we'll put it up, competitive kick, and like we said before, come 95 metres.
I remember us turning the ball over 3 times in that fashion, where we put kicks in, we attacked them, and we didn't quite get them, whatever. They were coming away from their own line. The one time it didn't work was when it was a bit off the cuff and Smith ended up stabbing a kick through and it went dead.
Well, I was just going to say...
That was the 7-tackle set. And then, on the 7-tackle set, Cust gives away the high shot.
Well, I was just about to say...
momentum,
that was the momentum switch. That was the massive momentum switch.
Can I just go to a couple of plays before that? We peppered them with that kick from Harry Smith. And then in the next 5 minutes, we put 3 of the worst kicks in we put in the entire game. French puts a kick in on the right hand side that Duffy gets his foot behind the line and is a 7-tackle set. They then come back. The second time, Harry Smith gets pressurised, steps forward and tries to put a kick in behind. I don't mind that kick in behind, but it was far too straight. 7-tackle set, penalty, momentum's completely swung.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, Harry Smith did put a poor kick in where I thought just drill it in touch, but he actually gets a chance to do it again 2 minutes later. And for me, he makes the right decision, drills it in touch, and kills the momentum of the game.
I think just before the Bullock try, when they had that 7-tackle set, at the end they had the penalty from Cust for the high shot, which it weren't really that bad, but it was high.
It was a penalty.
Yeah, just a penalty. But there was like all action, wasn't there? When Bullock crashed over eventually, there was all action. They had a chance to score down the left, and we scrambled and stopped them. They had a chance to score down the right, and we scrambled and stopped them. And I'm thinking, this can't keep up. And then I saw Harry Smith look to the right of the play of the ball, his right of the play of the ball, and panic. And I thought, we've numbered up wrong, haven't we? One short ball, really flat ball, and Bullock had crashed over, and there's no stopping him from there. And actually, we must have numbered up wrong because that panic I saw in Harry Smith's eyes, followed by the try for Bullock.
I will mention with that, obviously they got did they get a 6 again? Just before the Bullock try, maybe 2 or 3 tackles before. Harry Smith was absolutely berating someone, and I don't know who it was, about the numbering up, about how we weren't numbering up correct. they score, and he was the vocal one.
Yeah.
That was a real leadership
I
game
think
from Harry Smith.
he'd spotted it, but it was just too late to do anything, you know.
Which you'll have, like I said before about quick play, not always trying to go.
Oh, it was a quick play of the ball, yeah.
Quick play of the ball, scramble defence throughout the set. It'll happen.
It's
going to
happen. You're right.
It was probably the most direct set.
Yeah, they did that right, didn't they? They didn't.
And I thought, this is how they've got to play.
They did that right, and I don't get why they didn't do it again. Because then I'm thinking to myself,
8-6.
8-6.
Oh no,
this is going to be tough now. I thought that this is going to be really tough now, and then they just didn't play that way for a bit longer. It was really strange that we ended up getting the next try.
Yeah,
and my dad said to me, one of our big players has got to step up in attack. One of our big money players, and to be fair to him, Bevan French had tackled everything that moved, and his move to stand off has worked just purely from a defensive point of view because his defence was unbelievable in this game.
Because I think there was only one missed tackle, and that was 1-on-1 with Cassiano.
1-on-1 against Cassiano.
I don't think
he had stopped Cassiano on one occasion as well, and just absolutely folded him. And I find that unbelievable. But he is a good defender, and we spoke about last week the benefits of having him at 6 and Field at 1 is that you get all the best things about French, and all the best things about Field, because it doesn't really matter where French plays, but it matters for Field to be in the middle of the park. And anyway, he said we need one of our big players to step up and attack, and Harry Smith gives the ball to Bevan French. Beautiful face ball to the centre. Unbelievable.
And then unbelievable hands from King.
Unbelievable hands from King.
Tip on.
How, when you've got a man fewer than the opposition, you've got 12 men, they've got 13, do you carve open a right hand attacking
a short
edge?
side?
A short side. I just don't know how. They didn't number up wrong either.
No, I thought they were numbered up quite well.
It was just purely the threat of Field being on the inside and the threat of French skipping towards the line
Well, that was it.
that attracted defenders.
The way that Smith sort of drifts, doesn't he, across the line,
And then French does the same.
straightens it back up. French does the same, and you've got Field back on the inside, and there was so much panic. How do you defend that situation?
Even when you've got the numbers right.
Yeah,
How do you defend that?
because
short side?
1-on-1, I want to say Field, French, King, Miski, for different reasons, but all 1-on-1 can beat a player. King and Miski are more physical and more likely to beat you with physicality. French and Field will beat you with skill. That you can't have someone 1-on-1, because when that happens, you're in trouble. And Miski scores in the corner with an unbelievable finish.
I know. We take these finishes for granted sometimes, don't we? But that was a brilliant finish. He goes flying into the corner. There's a good effort to stop him from the wingman, but unbelievable put down that he obviously practices a lot, and Toby King said as much in his post-match press conference. But yeah, unbelievable finish from Miski. King was really funny in his comments where he said, the referee sent it up to the video, and I said, no way, ref. Abbas Miski eats those for breakfast. It's so funny. But when I actually saw the behind camera, it wasn't obvious. So I get why the touch judge sent it to the screen, because it wasn't obvious from the behind camera, but from the front camera, from the dead ball line, it was obvious it was a try. So an easy one for the video ref, but I can see why they sent it up.
But then Harry Smith, talk about him. This was a game where I thought he was a real leader.
Yep.
He steps up. He's been under pressure. He's been criticised for his kicking.
Miski's just put it down on the last blade of grass.
Yeah, making it dead easy, like running around under the sticks. Puts it down less than a few centimetres from the touchline. And there was just this feeling of, if he kicks it, this stadium's going to erupt. And I think we celebrated the goal more than the try, because it took us to a 2-try lead again.
Yeah.
Give us some security.
Yeah.
And you're going, there's 20 minutes left here.
Massive.
20 minutes left. We've got to.
And we'll talk a bit more about about crowds and atmosphere in a bit, because I do want to talk about it, but I want to kind of give it its own bit of this. That kick was outstanding. It was an outstanding kick under pressure. Fantastic kick, and I'm really pleased for Harry Smith. I think he deserves that.
He deserves all the credit.
Yeah, he deserves a lot of credit for that.
I think, just to kind of, we're wrapping this up soon, but for Warrington's point of view, I don't think the fans should be panicking yet. I think it's a simple fix for them. Just catch the ball. I know it sounds very, very simple,
The
but it's
completion just isn't
that's
good enough.
it. They just, I think there's nothing to be worrying. There's nothing there. Just a very bad day, and they just need to say, right, next game we play, it's just about completion rate. It's about going back to what we know, playing straight, completion, execute, earn the right to play on the opposition's line, like Matty said before, and go from there. But it's a simple fix.
If you do, those forwards can lay you a good platform for someone like
100%.
Williams, who was trying his hardest, and he
He showed
probably
how good he was.
he probably had a lot of.
they'll get you quick play of the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Walker will scoot out the back, or he'll give the pass to Williams, who'll throw it and go at the line and make a break, or find the right pass at the right time. So exactly, they just need to
let's
do the basics well.
let's finish off the game. Thewlis scores.
Well, Dufty had the no try.
Dufty had the no try for arguably the most obvious double movement I think I've ever seen.
And I thought at that point that's massive because
Yeah.
we get the ball back with a penalty, and if they'd scored there, I really think they would have won it.
But Thewlis goes on to score. Cassiano, they use him cleverly. He's got the height advantage.
Yep.
Knocks it back, go through the hands, and Wardle probably over chases a little bit and gets stepped. But it's very, very tough at
Four,
touch
it's
speed.
4 on 2, isn't it?
And they score. And it got down to the last 3 or 4 minutes, and I turned to my dad and said, there's 4 sets here.
Well, we dropped the ball.
They get one, we get one.
Yeah.
They get one, we get one.
We dropped the ball. Smithies was it?
No, Marshall dropped it.
No, Smithies drops it first.
Smithies drops it.
They have a set which we defend.
Then
Marshall
coming out of play,
drops
we're going, there's 3 sets left. If we just got through this set, kick to touch, they only get 1 go at us.
Yeah.
And Marshall drops it on the second.
Coming out of the yardage.
And that moment of dread that what's going to happen here.
That Peter Matautia found himself 4 on 2
Yeah,
on the right hand
they
side
get the overlap.
with a massive overlap and decides, I'm not going to score myself. I'm not going to pass to this second rower. I'm not going to pass to the centre. I'm going to try.
Because he beats Miskey. Miskey shoots out to try and close the play.
Well, Marshall it would be.
Was it? Oh, sorry, Marshall.
Marshall always goes for the intercept.
And he steps.
And he says, I'm going to go for the glory play here. I'm going to go for the glory play. And I'm going to pass this to the winger. And he's going to fall over and score the winning try. And actually, that is what happened, except it was a mile forward.
Yeah, it was definitely forward. But I remember the panic of it's gone. The game's gone.
All that hard work, all that like effort, and all of that dominance.
Yeah.
To lose it.
To lose it with 2 minutes left. But then I sort of like looked to see the wreck of the decision, and Liam Moore's running out of the in-goal area rather than towards the try.
Yeah.
And
Did the people around you think you were Warrington fans? Me and my dad were jumping up and down celebrating what looked like a Thewlis try at that point.
Yeah, I went absolutely booloo.
Jonathan Davis on commentary shouting, forward, forward. He was getting into it, wasn't he?
I just started
Big Warrington
screaming.
fan.
I can't even say what I said because I don't think I said any words. I just started screaming, and everyone like around me's looking, and I went, "It's forward! It's forward!" So then the stand just erupts.
Yeah.
All 3 stands go up, and it was like, that's it.
That's all she wrote.
Well, and it wasn't quite because we had we still had the 90 seconds left, but Cassiano's stupid headshot gave us another set and a penalty anyway, so that kind of wrapped up the game fully. Like, yes, we've won there with that stupid headshot. Dufty came and walked right in front of me to try and get the ball off. It didn't go in touch. That was fun. Looked dejected. Just on the crowd, because it was a smaller crowd than usual, because it was extra money obviously from your season ticket, and we're in a cost of living crisis, and there's some people who, even if they had the money, would not pay because they believe it should be free to go to Challenge Cup games, whatever. There were only 2,000, maybe 2,500 from Warrington. I don't even know what the official attendance was. I'm guessing it was 4 figures, because there definitely wasn't 10,000 on. But it was noisier than most games this year.
I think it's the game though, isn't it?
It was. It was the fact that it was a quarter-final and it was against Warrington, and their fans made quite a lot of noise themselves. But the atmosphere was amazing. Honestly, it was fantastic. Maybe the red card galvanised. I don't know. But yeah, there was an amazing atmosphere in this cup game, and our next match in the cup is at Headingley, and we've been assigned the Western Terrace, which is the one that means we're going to get wet if it rains. Now Hull KR have got the one opposite. As it stands, there's nobody been given the south stand, which is I think unusual. But Hull KR are going to bring lots to that match.
Yeah.
They did last time it was at Headingley. They did last time when it was at Ellen Road. Hull KR are going to bring a lot of fans to that match. Wigan have to match them. Wigan fans have got to get out to Headingley again on that day and support the team, because the team needs you. And they said how good it was over Easter, and the fans were driving them towards victories. I'm sure the fans played a part in that win on Sunday as well.
Yeah. Now, I just want to wrap up what you said there about the actual match. It's a very difficult conversation to have, because there is no right answer about what the club should do with that, with the Challenge Cup games and playoff games in general. Because if they charge fans for a Challenge Cup game,
What if we lost against Leeds?
and we don't get a Challenge Cup game,
We could have lost against Leeds away.
the-
We always draw Leeds or Warrington away anyway. I'm surprised we didn't in the semi-final draw. I think the only reason we didn't was because we beat both of them.
That's exactly what I mean. If we'd drawn Warrington away, we did semi-final at a neutral venue, you've got to pay for. Final at Wembley.
Yeah.
Playoffs. Let's say you finish 4th and you don't get a home game. You then get fans complaining that they paid for a
You get
Challenge
a home
Cup
game
game.
if you finish fourth. Don't you? You get a home game if you finish fourth.
So is it 5th? You don't get
Fifth.
5th. Sorry, if you finish 5th, you don't get a home game.
You get 2 away games plus Old Trafford.
Yeah. You've then charged someone for a game that they don't get, and you get fans complaining
And the fans have had to fork out for 5 games, 6 games,
Yeah.
7 games, whatever.
that they don't get. What do you do? Do you put one in? Well, what if you get 2 games and the club loses out on the potential finance of it? I think it's a very difficult issue, and unfortunately, I think the club are making the best of it as they can,
Well, I
just
don't know.
charging you for the games that you're guaranteed to get, and asking you a little bit extra
15
for
quid,
the
whatever it
games that
was.
you don't.
Well, I think that's the way to do it.
I
Like
think
you
so.
said, you don't know where the draws are going to be, home or away. But it's like Matty said then, if you can and you're able to, obviously we know the lads and the club, they appreciate the fan support, and obviously we know more fans in there, being loud, being proud. That's what we want. Quarterfinals, semi-finals, big games, big atmospheres, in a historic competition like the Challenge Cup. That's what we want moving forward. So hopefully it'll be a very good semi-final turnout, and it'll be a very good game.
So that
Brilliant.
wraps up
Yeah, brilliant game. Brilliant news on
Good
Havard for 4 more years.
4 more years. At
Deserved
age
man of the
22.
match. Shorrocks and Smith were fantastic as well, but Havard deserved man of the match for me.
Yeah, Havard was my
I think
man of the
Smith
match.
got it, didn't he? Yeah, but I think
I can understand why Smith got it with the 3 goals.
Yeah,
and he's control of the game.
he ran the game, but there was getting good performances across the park, like Matty said. But yeah, Smith and Havard were the 2 that stood out the most.
But that wraps up a brilliant game.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back after that with a review of the other 3 quarter-final matches. So thank you. I'll be back in a minute. So we're having a quick look at the other games in the Challenge Cup this week. The first quarter final was over in Hull. Hull KR vs Salford. It was actually the only game of the 4 that we all backed wrong. We all backed Salford to win this, but Hull KR came out 28 points to 10 winners. Try scorers for Hull were Hall, Lynette, Kenny Dowell and Hadley, and 4 goals from Milnes. And then for Salford, Tim Laffey, Joe Burgess scored, and Sneed only kicked 1 goal. He actually missed 1. Save that for the memory books.
No, he missed 3 last week. He missed 1 this week. I don't know what's going on with him.
Head's gone. Don't see him getting the same criticism as Harry Smith. But
Big win
This
for
was-
KR.
this was big.
Yeah.
Big win for KR. All the injuries they've got, we all backed Salford. I think the majority of the Rugby League world would have backed Salford, even knowing the injuries they had.
Just off the injuries, you're right.
Yeah, just on, again, the squad kind of looking on paper, but what a big win for KR. And very big win. 1, because of the injuries, but 2, they've lost the last couple of In the league, okay, haven't they?
Yeah, Craven Park's a tough place to play though.
Mm.
Salford will know that, and obviously Salford got the better of them at Magic.
Well, it doesn't get any easier for Hull KR because Ryan Hall's now injured for 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, which is another loss.
Yeah.
They should be getting someone back, hopefully, but
They got Fujiahara on loan
that's
to
what I
cover
mean.
for Hall.
Again, it's that many injuries that they're having to bring in several players on loan.
Tongizine on loan from Catalan as well, I think.
Was very impressive. I was very
Yeah, the
impressed with
full-back.
him.
I liked him. He played on the wing against us last year. I think it might have been his debut or his second game, something like that, for Catalan.
Yeah.
And I thought he was alright then. Clearly one for the future. But he played really well. I saw some Hull KR fans thinking, right, we'll have to keep him there even when Coote and Walker are back this week. Keep Zine on at full back. And then what do you do?
It would be interesting, depending on whether they're looking at getting more long term, purely because if Walker or Coote's going to go back there, I wouldn't put Coote there this week. I'd give him an extra week.
Yeah.
But if you're going to put Jack Walker there, long term, he needs some time playing there before the playoffs. You need to get him going before the playoffs. So you need
before
Coote
the semi-final.
before the semi-final as well. It's a bit of a funny one. If they could get him guaranteed for the rest of the season, I would say playing in full-back's brilliant.
I don't know. He's a very young player, and he's obviously going to have hit and miss games. But he was very good in this game. It's excellent.
Salford just not at the races. Really weren't really. For me, they weren't really in this game. They just were getting a little bit bullied by Hull KR. weren't at the free flowing best. I just think it's like we said, it was a difficult place to go, but that wouldn't be a performance that Paul Rowley would be happy with.
No, you're right.
I think obviously it's a quarter final, so it goes without saying it's a big loss. But I think the manner of it, yes, Craven Park is a tough place to go, we know that. But with Hull KR being depleted as we know they were, maybe there was a bit of complacency, maybe again it was like a bit similar with Warrington, just like 2 minute errors. But I think they'll be disappointed as a club because that was a prime opportunity to get to a semi-final. You're 80 minutes away from going to Wembley. No. So they'll be really, really disappointed. That could hurt them quite bad, that loss.
There is something else I want to mention with going to the Hull KR. There was a comment from Paul Rowley in the week leading up to it that I wasn't particularly keen on. He came on and talked about how difficult it is and the crowd get on your back and refs don't give the same decisions and refs can be influenced by the crowd there.
Yeah.
I really don't like them before the game. I don't like them at all. But before the game, it's like, we'll get our excuses in early. That was my first thought. He's scared, he's nervous, and he's trying to influence the game to get some decisions. And I'm going, I am not a fan of this. If I was Hull KR, I'm looking at that going, there's our team talk already.
Yeah.
He thinks he can come here and tell the refs that we're manipulating the game rather than being worried about just playing. Just focus on playing. Let the refs do their own job. It was a very strange comment for me, and
you can't call a ref out before a game's happened. That's just a stupid to say, like, they're always going to get decisions of being at home with the crowd and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think you can't call a ref out before the game's even played.
I think he said they're influenced by the crowd at Craven Park.
Which is probably true, but you don't have to say that if you're the coach of the opposition team.
Do you not think that's everywhere? Do you not think
part
when you go to
advantage, surely,
when you go to the Halliwell Jones, the Warrington crowd, are louder
the
and
places
more vocal?
the places that have got the vocal section on the side of the pitch tend to be better. So the Leeds South Stand, the Halliwell Jones, Craven Park, whereas I know there's not really that much of a noisy section at Wigan, but at St Helens as well, the behind the sticks, those places, Lee as well. Those places tend to have the noisiest fans behind the sticks, and they don't have as much of an impact on the referee. I wonder if that's a bit of correlation there.
That'd be interesting to see the statistics behind it, and I wouldn't even know how you would measure that. But it is a good point that when the louder fans are at the side, the rest are going to hear more. They're going to see more. They're going to shout for more, be more persistent with it. But like I said, I don't like that from Salford.
Them ones in Hull KR are just straightforward all the time.
I don't like that from Rowley, to come out and to say that almost before the game. It felt very much excuse based. It felt like they were getting the reasons in early.
And Rowley's I've been impressed with Rowley with how he spoke so far this year. I think that this was an odd thing for him to say. I didn't expect this from Rowley, to be honest.
Exactly that. Now we're going to move on to the second game on Saturday. It was, again, over in Hull.
Yeah.
I do wonder whether Saints and Salford shared a bit of the expenses on travelling and sent maybe people together. It's a long way to go, both teams on a Saturday afternoon to Hull. But Saints coming out 32 points to 18.
Yeah.
Hull winning. Hull try scorers were Griffin, Savelio and Jake Truman. Sutcliffe kicking 3 goals. Try scorers for St Helens were Batchelor, Hurrell, Sirenen, Dodd, Wellsby, Bell. Makinson kicking 3 goals and a penalty. That game was 12 apiece at half time.
Well, he went off Makinson. He's injured. He's out for a while as well.
Yeah.
I think that was actually. Did he injure himself kicking a goal?
I don't
Or
know.
a goal? I think it was a conversion attempt, maybe. But he's pulled his hamstring.
Yeah, that's a big loss for them.
So yeah,
Real big loss.
he's an important player.
I think more for his meters than anything. He really does get Saints going, and Walmsley come off the back of that. He is a crucial cog in that team. But
Makinson, Percival, right? No.
But the big thing that we've got to talk about, it's 12-12 at half time. The game's been very, very even. It's probably been the most publicised event of the week, really.
Definitely. Well, yeah, probably just about.
Josh Griffin getting a red card off Chris Kendall after
Getting a yellow
the
card.
half-time whistle.
Well,
So he got a yellow card for dissent.
which we've seen before. We've seen players get yellow carded for dissent before.
And he then continues.
We talked about Aaron Newman
Says
earlier in
something.
the year, didn't we? We talked about him turning a knock on into a penalty and then an extra 10 and then a yellow card. We've seen that happen before.
Well,
what we've not seen is that, but one step further, which is obviously what Griffin did.
I actually had this discussion with someone on Twitter. Harry Newman gave dissent and got penalised. He then carried on and got a yellow.
Well, it was 10 metres. They matched him 10 metres, didn't they? So it turned from a knock on to a penalty, matched him 10 metres, yellow card. Then he went straight off.
Did he not march him for 10 for the second dissent, the yellow?
No, I think it was 3.
I thought there was only 2 dissents.
I think
in
there
that.
were 3 offences on the. But Griffin obviously took it one step further and didn't go straight off when he got yellowed.
So he gets the yellow because the ref can't give a penalty. The game's not going on.
That's true. You can't match him 10 metres, can he? Because the hooter's gone.
He's given dissent. It's a yellow card because there's no other punishment that he can give. You can't say, "Oh yeah, we'll give you a penalty when you kick off."
Well, if it was dissent to the referee, he deserved a yellow card.
Yeah. He then carries it on and says something else, and the RFL haven't released what's said. But he's carried on and gone to a red, and I've seen a lot of people complaining, "Oh, Chris Kendall should have spoken to him and said, if you carry on, it's going to be a red." No, that's the whole point of the yellow. I completely disagree with that. He's given the yellow because you are being dissentful to the ref.
He must
That's
have
your
said.
warning.
He must have said for it to go from a yellow to a red. He must have said that Kendall's a cheat. He must have called him a cheat or said he's cheating.
Something along them
It
lines.
must have been something like that. He must have called his integrity into question, which is obviously any sports person will tell you that's a no for the ref. It's well, the fans do it a lot, I know, but for a sportsman to actually question the integrity of the referee and suggest that they are cheating, even in the heat of the moment like this, any sportsman will tell you that is no. Definitely, every sports person will always say you cannot question the referees. You can question his calls, question his judgments. That's one thing, but question his whether he's biased or cheating to help one team, that is definitely no.
They've not leaked what he said, have they? And we just know he's been given 7 game
This is
game
it.
ban, so it's a very, very lengthy ban.
So was it a grade F he got?
It was referred to tribunal with a grade F. Yeah.
Referred to tribunal with a grade F. He's not pleaded not guilty.
No, he pleaded guilty.
He pleaded guilty, but he's challenged the grading.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's admitted that he said what has been accused of him.
What he's been accused
He's
of.
just said, I think it should be a different grade. They've said, no, we still believe it should be a grade F, and he's got 7 games.
Yeah.
My big issue coming out of this is people are putting it on Chris Kendall. Now, you might not be a fan of him, or you might like him, or whatever. The yellow card is a warning in itself. You have been dissentful. There's the yellow card. Go and sit down for 10 minutes. You're out of this game. You've already cost your team.
You've cost your team big time, even if you just get a yellow.
To then carry it on And people are saying that Chris Kendall should have had a word with him and said, if you carry on, you're going to get a red. No, you've already got a yellow card. Said the next step is a red.
Yeah. The yellow
So
was
it's
that
not-
conversation. It was the warning.
Yeah.
And he's got to control himself, Griffin, not for his team, but there's also the players understand. The referees tell the captains this before all the game. The ways and means of going about it. If you do feel like, I don't know, the other team's getting more ruck time, you know, they're being able to hold down for longer than you are, or something like that. The protocol is you go to the captain. The captain has to speak to the referee. The referee at that point should allow that because that's the channel it should go through. They say, I want everything to come through the captain. So at that point, the referee should say, you might see him saying to the players, no, go away, go away. The captain is the one who's allowed to talk to him. The captain has the word, does it in a respectful manner. The referee will kind of either say, okay, I'll look out for it, or he says, no, you're doing surrender tackles, they're dominating tackle, whatever, so, you know, it'll justify it. So
And that's fine.
Griffin should have gone through those channels.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's fine. And questioning how much time someone has on the ruck is different from calling them a cheat.
Exactly.
There's a question of, like, you can go up to the referee, and very often we'll on a Saturday go up to the umpire if we feel like we're not getting the rub of the green and say, is this going to even out at some point, or are we fancying getting a couple of decisions today, something like that. But actually calling somebody a cheat and saying that they are cheating to help the other team is downright wrong.
And that's the difference with the Newman situation.
Oh, that's not what Newman did. Newman was challenging the decision.
And he complained, and he carried on complained again. But the referees have just gone through the channel. Penalty, you carry on and marching your 10. Someone has to grab him and say, stop talking. Just take it. It's gone. You can't do anything about it.
And this is what we spoke about with the Newman situation, is where was the captain?
Well, obviously it's a bit different because people are walking off the field.
And Griffin himself is vice captain, so I don't know who is Hull's captain.
I'm not sure.
Would it be Danny Houghton?
But Griffin has got to be.
He might not have been on the pitch. It might have even been that Griffin was the captain at that particular time. I think he was his vice. But there needs a leader.
Enough.
He needs to be a leader. Actually, yeah, Griffin should be experienced.
He should be experienced enough to
But
say.
in the heat of the moment, there needs to be a leader to diffuse that situation.
Because he said something bad enough to get himself sin-binned, to then carry on. I don't think it's Kendall's responsibility to say, oh, if you carry on, mate, you're going.
Yeah.
He's done that by giving you the yellow card.
He does it before the game.
Yeah,
Before the game, they chat to the teams, they chat to the captains, the players know it anyway. You cannot speak to a ref in certain ways. There are ways and means you can go about speaking to them, or they say, go away, go through your captain. They know that, there's no excuse for it. For me, it has to be like that because, I mean, I can watch football, but I'm telling you now, if I were reffing a Premier League football game, it'd be five aside by the time
me
I'd
too.
been. If I were
Me too.
reffing it, the amount they come, they're grabbing all of the refs, they're turning them round, literally putting their hands on them, I'd be like, you're going, you're going, you're going. It'd be five aside by the time I'm done. So it has to be like that.
It might be the first week, but then the week after it wouldn't be. That's the thing.
We
need to keep this out of the game, and obviously
Exactly.
this is the way to do it.
Griffin has seen red on two different levels. One, the card, and two is in his head. His son is just completely snapped. He's gone for it. He's got the yellow card. He's not been able to calm down and walk away and leave it. He's completely snapped.
So we're all completely in agreement on the red card, right? Well,
Definitely.
7-game ban. A 7-game ban.
Lengthy.
We're going to talk about a 6-game ban for somebody else in a bit, Kai O'Donnell. 7 games was what that Wakefield player got last week, Salabi or whatever you say his name's, who did the tip tackle, the Undertaker pile driver. So you're getting 7 games for those 2 offences. Are they really?
No, but you are
Comparable?
questioning the integrity of a match official.
So questioning the integrity of a match official is...
Oh, you got that wrong.
Yeah, it certainly is a red card and it certainly is a ban. I think 7 games is very, very long.
But do you think they've done it to make a statement?
Yes.
Because
A bit of a zero tolerance.
I
We
think-
are not accepting this. It's a 7-game ban. Rest of Super League. Bigger work.
I'm pretty confident this is the last 7-game ban they'll dish out for this, because I think this will work as a deterrent.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's the whole point of it. There was. I've seen someone sharing an incident of Myler getting one in 2021, I think it was, and he got a 3-game ban. And I don't know whether that was for questioning the integrity of the match official, and I don't know what was said. But the clamping down on things like this, the clamping down on high tackles, the clamping down on tip tackles and dangerous contact. You can't, and I mean this with due respect, you can't look at bans from 2-3 years ago now and compare them to current bans that are being handed out today, because it's clear. If you get sent off for throwing a punch, you're going to get 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
If you get sent off for a tip tackle, you're going to get 5-6 games. They've set the precedent now. He's been grade F, which is, I think that's the worst grading you can get.
Yeah.
He's got 7 games, he's been fined £1,000. That's the standard now. If you do worse than that, you're going to get longer. And I don't know what he said to carry it on and get that, because they've not released what's been said. But clearly he's admitted guilt. He's admitted that he said it. So I'm happy with it being a great 7-game ban. Rightly or wrongly, I'm happy with it because they've set the precedent. I will understand Hull FC's fans' displeasure if someone else gets accused of the same thing and gets a grade C.
Yeah.
I think you've just got to say now that's the line, that's what they've set it as.
Yeah.
And view everything from now on.
Yeah.
But in the game,
Yeah, back to the game.
Saints then sort of ran away with it really. They come out at half time. Sirinen and Dodd score. Both kicked, gives them a 12-point lead. Truman scores about 10 minutes later. Kicks the goal. Does Sutcliffe. So Saints are winning 24-18 at this point. Straight away, 5 minutes later, Wellesby scores. James Bell scores. They just had a little bit too much against the 12 men of Hull FC, and I think they played the game brilliant and showed Warrington almost how to play against 12 men.
Yeah.
They were direct, they used the big men, compacted Hull, and then once they started getting time and space, and Hull tired, because Hull have got a lot of big men as well, I think that's them just showing you how to play against 12 men for me.
Saints are... I know I used the phrase back to the best last week. I know you disagreed. Someone said I don't think they're back to the best, but they're definitely better than where they were. That's probably more of an accurate assessment. So, yeah, you're coming up against a good Saints side who are finding good form. Being down to 12 against them is always going to be a very tough challenge. And yeah, it was a professional second half performance. They did what they needed to do, and they got the win.
I think as well, they got the try very early in the second half to get the lead.
Yeah,
if Hull could have hung on for 15-20 minutes, Saints start getting a bit nervous and you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But should we move on to the last game?
Go on.
It was the only team that isn't in Super League against
To make the last 8.
against a high flying Super League team in the Leopards. It was York versus Lee. Lee winning this game 34 points to 14. But at half time
They got a real scare.
they got a real scare.
14-6 down at half time to the hometown team York. Real scare. Kyle Donnell sent off after 6 minutes.
For I think arguably one of the worst tip tackles I've ever seen.
How did we speak about an awful tip tackle last week on Richie Myler, and then there's been a worse one already?
Yeah.
It was, honestly, I said about the Undertaker tombstone pile driver, it was worse than that. I don't know how the guy got straight back up.
Yeah.
There's a picture going around on social media that shows you a shot, and it's
As
a
he's
still
hit the floor.
photograph of how he's landed, and his neck and his head are all to the side, and he's coming down on his shoulder and neck area, and it just looks like it could have broke. Thank God it didn't, but it looked like it could have broke his neck. A real serious injury could have occurred.
It's the most dangerous of dangerous throws, wasn't it?
Horrendous tackle.
And I know you said we can't bring up previous bans, but Will Price got 10 games for a dangerous throw.
But Will Price is in a different circumstance.
Because it was his second offence.
He'd already been done for it once before. Was it in an academy game? And he got a long ban for it a year before. He then did a tip tackle again that was quite bad.
It was quite bad, but I think this is worse.
I think this is worse.
I think this one's worse.
But O'Donnell doesn't have a history of it.
So how come this one got 6 games, you think, and the last one against Richie Myler got 7?
Because he was at least the defending man.
Well, I don't know why that gives you a week fewer on.
I think if you're Myler coming in, ready to make a tackle,
You're not
and then
expecting-
suddenly a bloke grabs you under hips and
tips you on your head for no
tips you on
reason.
your head when you're defending. At least
So you think the shock factor of it being on a defender has added an extra game.
An extra game for the emotional trauma caused to Richie Milo, who didn't expect to get
I don't know what was going on.
I don't know.
there.
That's the only difference I can see, and I know we're joking about
These two
it.
should have got the same ban.
I wouldn't have been surprised for O'Donnell to get longer.
They should have all got 7. Griffin, O'Donnell, whatever his name is, that Spanish lad from Wakefield. They should have all got the same 7.
And then I can understand it. I thought he was looking at 7 or 8 games. I'll be honest.
I thought he was looking at a prison sentence. It weren't a tackle. It was GBH. It was absolutely horrendous.
And then
if you've not seen it, go YouTube the game. Or
it's all over Twitter.
I think it is all over Twitter, and so
No,
I think you
I'm
have
gonna create a
probably
list.
seen it.
If you've not seen it, where have you been for the last 4 days?
It is
why are you an hour into a rugby league podcast
If
you've not seen this tackle?
It is horrendous.
Then York put on a lovely try with a kick back on the inside.
There was
Brilliant.
another incident.
Brilliant try. And then Hardaker just German suplexed somebody. It was the same guy. So it was the same guy, yeah.
That's horrendous.
It was the same guy that got dumped on his head previously. It was just carrying the ball in that like a nice normal drive. And
But he
Hardaker,
sort of gets around him, doesn't he?
yeah, Hardaker grabs him round the waist and literally German suplexes him. And he lands on
Throws
his,
him over his back.
he lands on his
You've
head
been
again.
watching WWE, these rugby players.
I think they'd been watching Brock Lesnar
a
highlights.
couple of two-stone pile drivers and suplexes.
Adrian Long was getting them up by watching some old WrestleManias, I think.
Yeah.
Somebody said that they're going to get Andre the Giant on the disciplinary panel this week.
I'm going to bring you back to the game. I was of the opinion that was a red card.
That's because you don't like WWE.
True. But I genuinely thought that was a red card. It was reckless, it was dangerous.
It was a red card.
And it had been interesting to see if the Ants have already got a red card.
Do you remember Ben Pomeroy? He played for the Sharks and then he played for Catalan
Yeah.
for a German suplex at home against Cass. And I think he got a red card in 6 games, if I
5 or 6
remember
games,
right.
was it?
Yeah. Hardaker obviously with the yellow on this one now. Pomeroy's was an absolute horror show.
Yeah.
This wasn't as bad because he didn't land direct on his head.
It was more like his shoulder, wasn't it, and his back.
If I remember, the Cass player got stretched off with that, the neck brace thing on, so it always makes it look worse. But Hardaker only 1 game and a sin bin.
Like I said before, it'd have been interesting to see whether, if the Ants have already got a red, what would he have got? I'm happy with it being a yellow. I thought he might get 1, maybe 2. But
the thing is, it's the same action, isn't it? They're both dangerous throws, so we're saying there's a 6-game
I don't think there is.
difference in bans, but depending on how and what I'm going to call the victim in this scenario.
The same guy, poor fella.
Yeah, the same guy. But so it's like, if you throw them, but it's all right if they happen to just fall on the shoulder, then you only get a 1-game ban. If they land on the net, you get a 7. It's like,
there is difference.
the action is the same.
But there is difference though. The first one from O'Donnell, the bloke's feet are above his head, and he's dropped on his head. With Hardaker's, he's a little bit like round and sidey. It's like his back landing. The same way if you came front on and put your shoulder in and dropped someone on the back. I think it's reckless. I'd have said 2 games.
6-game difference though
I'd have
between
said
the two
that's-
incidents. Do you know what I mean?
Kyle O'Donnell could have snapped his neck.
Yeah, I know. But Hardaker could if he would have landed different.
Yeah, but he didn't.
I know he didn't, but
He didn't.
yeah, but the action was.
You can't say. We might have our first argument on the podcast. You can't say if he'd have landed differently. Well, he didn't. He's landed on his back. It's reckless. It had the potential to cause injury. That's why he's got a sin bin.
You know what makes these tackles worse? And I don't know if it makes it worse for me. I don't know if it makes it worse for the disciplinary. But they were both on the same guy, and he's a full-time teacher. He's a full-time teacher. So are we. Imagine we were just doing that, and then we had our normal jobs, and then on the weekends, Zach Hardick just German suplex. Guy O'Donnell dumped us on our heads, and then we had to go back and teach the next day.
I hope he won't teach him maths first thing. Oh. But I get that.
I just think a 6-game difference for 2. All right, not the same. Like you're saying, the outcome was different.
But we just
2
said
similar influence, 2 similar situations, both dangerous throws, but there's a 6-game difference. It seems a lot.
But we were just saying, should it have been more? We were saying it should have been because he only got 6, so it's 5 games more. We were saying he should probably got 7. At that point, you're saying Hardacre should have get 4.
It was a bad one. I mean, Pomeroy got 6, and it wasn't quite as bad as his, but it was still pretty bad. One is...
Pomeroy lands him on his head.
I know.
With his full weight going over.
I know.
Hardacre's is bad. I thought it could have been a red. It could have been viewed differently. I thought 2 games would have been fair. 1, I can live with it. But Kyle O'Donnell's is far worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
O'Donnell's was worse.
And if the guy doesn't realise what's going on and move his head to the side, he could break his neck. So I think there's far more risk with the O'Donnell one than with Hardacre's. Hardacre's, you're looking at more of a concussion and a whiplash effect. And that's why I would have given 2 weeks, because that's the concussion time. He would have been out for 2 weeks with a concussion. I would have gone 2 games, personally. But I don't think it's a 5 or a 6 game. I don't think it's to that standard.
Yeah, I just think, like I said, the 5 game difference. Sorry, not so I can think it's Griffin who got 7. So it's a 5 game difference between Hardacre. I just think for a very, very similar incident, a 5 game difference is quite a big difference in my opinion.
But again, you've got to judge each one separately.
They picked themselves up, didn't they, and they ended up winning this game. 28 unanswered points in the second half.
I think that's just that full-time professionalism.
Yeah.
A team that's flying with confidence.
Once they got their noses in front, they were never going to look back, were they? York didn't stand a chance.
Well, you name players like Lachlan Lamb, Zach Hardacre, Ricky Latelli.
Omala Hanley played well in this game.
Hanley.
There were several times when I watched this and I thought, oh, that's a good run from Hanley. I think he made 3 or 4 brilliant carries. And obviously we didn't get to see that much of him for Wigan, but yeah, some fantastic carries from Hanley.
But these are guys that have played full-time.
Yeah.
And are smashing it in the full-time game, currently in the top 6.
Yeah,
on a winning streak of 8 now, is it? 7 or 8?
I've lost count.
They're not a team that are struggling. Maybe if you all could come up against a Wakey or a Cash, you could possibly have seen an upset. Late, bad start, just turned on the afterburners in the second half for me.
Yeah, they're too good in the second half. But they often say, don't they, when Championship teams play Super League, it gets down to a bit like fitness and stuff, and then I think we saw that in this game as well. York, though, did themselves a lot of credit.
Yeah, they
fans,
did.
The fans that have been clapping them off that pitch, even though they lost, and they'd have been proud of the effort they put.
And I'll be rooting for them in the 1895 Cup because I think they've done themselves proud and they've done the fans proud, they've done the city proud there.
Does anyone know what would have happened if
No.
they'd have got into the final? Are we just pretending that's not going to happen?
We're just pretending.
until it happens?
We're just pretending that none of the championship sides are ever going to make the semi-finals because they played on the same weekend.
Yeah, I forgot the semis are played on the same.
The semis are played on the same weekend as well, so it's not even if York got to the final. It's if York won this game, it would have to have been rearranged.
So we're just going to ignore that fact until
Well,
it
kick
arises.
the can down the road and cross that bridge when we come to it, and that's what Simon Johnson was saying. Yeah, whatever.
Fair enough. I can live with that.
It's unlikely anyway, isn't it?
It's very unlikely, but like I say, I can live with it.
At half time, I bet they were scrambling. 14-6.
Bit of a panic. Down to 12. Would have been a panic on what's going on there because the draw had already been made, hadn't it?
Yeah.
And with that, we should say that obviously Wigan have drawn Hull KR
Yes.
at Leeds.
Yep.
Who played on Sunday.
Headingley on Sunday the 23rd of July.
Saints will be playing Lee at the Halliwell Jones on the Saturday.
Yep.
2 very big semi-finals.
And there's some... The women's semi-finals are also on the same days. Wigan against Leeds at Leeds before the Wigan Hull KR game, and St Helens against York
It's a bit unfair, that, isn't it? Yeah.
at
It's a
Warrington.
bit unfair that Wigan and Leeds are playing at a neutral venue with Leeds.
Yeah, but Leeds would have been strong favourites wherever this was played.
Yeah, but it's, what they won't do, make them go in away changing rooms for a change.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
It's in Leeds.
It doesn't help that the neutral venue for Leeds against Wigan is Leeds home stadium. But
I thought they might have ended up putting us at Huddersfield because of that.
Huddersfield would have made sense.
But I think Leeds is a better atmosphere.
Yeah, and it's a bit close. It's a bit more equidistant, isn't it?
Yeah. But that wraps up the other matches, the Challenge Cup quarter.
Speaking of equidistant, where would it have been played if it was Wigan against Lee? You try and think of a stadium in between Wigan and Lee. Playing at Bus Station.
Yeah, you'd actually have to go further away, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
They'd probably
exactly.
pick St Helens or Wire again.
Yeah, it'd have to be one of those two, wouldn't it? Probably Warrington. It'd probably just be Warrington.
But
It's an interesting call, that, though, isn't it?
so that wraps up the review of the Challenge Cup. The semi-finals will be a massive event that we'll preview
Yes.
in a lot of big detail, and it's been a great week for rugby league, really. So
Fantastic again.
we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and look at Australia. So we are back looking at Down Under. Today is Wednesday the 21st of June, and that means this morning Game 2 of State of Origin was played. It was at Suncorp. The Blues needed to win to keep the series alive. They were nowhere near at the races. 10-0 at half-time to the Maroons. Second half, 32 points to 6. They made lots of changes. Some very questionable decisions, but the tries, there was 2 for Val Holmes, 1 for the Hammer, 1 for Muritu Olangi, 1 for Xavier Coates, 1 for Nanai. And then for the Blues, Damien Cook scored. And I think this is probably where it's best to start off talking.
Damien Cook?
Yeah, the 3rd minute. He was given the number 9 to start at 9. They changed that for Robson to start and Cook being on the bench. 3 minutes in, Tom Trbojevic making a tackle on Reece Walsh, which had a very high chance of scoring, and they didn't. Actually hits the floor and doesn't get back up. He's looks like a dislocated shoulder or an elbow. At the end of the game, you could see him in a sling.
Yeah, well, he had the sling on and his tracksuit on 15 minutes into the game, so it was pretty clear he wouldn't be returning.
Yeah, he was gone from the game, and this became the questionable decision for me. They moved Toto. They actually moved Toto and Stephen Crichton to the right edge, when the right edge at the beginning had been Trbojevic and Addo Carr. And on the left side moved Addo Carr with Damien Cook at centre, a position that he's not played before. He isn't an edge player.
No.
He's used to playing down the middle. Very, very big change. And
I don't know why you wouldn't put a second rower on. You had a couple of back rows on the bench. You could have put Liam Martin or Hudson Young in at centre. And
For me, Hudson Young is the most adaptable. You look at Cam Murray, Liam Martin, and Tyson Frizzell. They are bigger bodies and probably less agile. I was texting in our group as soon as it happened, saying, "Why? What have they done here?" Because it just didn't make sense. The Val Holm try showed that Damien Cook isn't a centre.
Yeah.
Kick goes up and Addo Carr competes. The ball drops, and Cook's just not used to being in that position. He doesn't know where Holmes is. He doesn't know where to position himself. And the ball bounces behind him, and Val Holmes grounds the ball questionably, I will add.
Yeah.
You said that you didn't think he grounded it. I'm not certain. I don't think he did. And for the ref to give no try and then be overturned, I thought it was very harsh.
well, they gave no try because he thought he knocked on in the contest, which he definitely didn't do. It went back off a Blues player. That's why he gave no try. So he didn't give no try for the grounding, but then that's what was questionable for me. So I don't know where you stand there with the ref's call.
Yeah, because he gave no try
for the contest.
Will you look at the contest and see whether Xavier Coates has knocked on?
Yeah, Xavier Coates.
And they've proven that he's not touched it. Play on. Do you have to take the rest of the play as no try?
I think you do.
Or do you just judge it on? Does he say, I think it's a no try, will you check this? And because he's not said check the grounding as well, you just assume that you just judge it. I don't know how that works.
They always have to check grounding though, don't they? They will always run it through to the grounding. Yeah. So for me, as far as I understand it, if it goes up as no try, you have to have or whatever decision goes up as, you have to have 100% conclusive evidence to overturn the on-field decision is the wording I think they always use.
That's it for me. From one angle, it looked like there was pressure. A second angle, I thought there's no chance he can give this after seeing that.
Yeah, and they still give it.
And they give it.
They didn't look back though. I mean, it didn't cost the Blues really because Queensland never looked back.
Well, Muritu Olangi scored then.
Off a forward pass.
About 25 minutes later. 5 minutes before the half-time break, which probably Freddie wanted to get to so he could reorganise his team. And there was a questionable forward pass, and then there was one that was definitely forward. Do they not give forward passes in Origin?
Line balls, they're called. Line balls. You heard Matt Thompson on the call. He called it line ball.
It made Matauti look like it had gone 10 yards back.
No, it didn't.
No, Matauti
was like Tom Brady for a pass.
But I thought one was questionable, and then the second one was miles forward.
I think was it Fafita?
Sorry, the first one was the one that was miles forward.
Fafita's was forward. Fafita's
questionable.
was miles forward. The Hammers was probably flat.
And I just...
It doesn't matter though, because they'd still beat them in every other...
Yeah.
This is one of those games where, like, your dad would have said to me, Tom, your dad would have said, they only did one thing better than the Blues. Everything. Because that's what they did.
To be fair, the Blues did do one thing better. They got behind sticks for a conversion better. Because that's a drubbing. That I think it'll cost Freddie his job.
Well, it definitely will. I mean, it would have done even if he lost 1-0. Even if he lost this match 1-0 or whatever.
The only question is whether he loses it mid-series.
I don't think he'll lose it mid-series. Because then who takes charge of the third game? What do you do then?
Well, then you've potentially got someone who could come in and trial a few players.
I know you've only got 2 weeks. Well, what is it? 3 weeks?
I think it's 3 weeks.
3 weeks. The 12th of July is, so 3 weeks.
Who's going to come in as well?
Well, I don't know who's going to come in. Like, you mean after this series?
As in for New South Wales, if Freddie loses his job, who's going to
don't know.
take up the New South Wales court?
It's a good question. Obviously, Queensland went with sort of the young gun, the ex-pro Slater, who hadn't really had a coaching job in the NRL before. I wonder if the Blues will think about doing something like that, or whether they'll give it to an old stager. I don't know.
It looks to me like they need their equivalent of a Wayne Bennett, who's been there, done it, knows Origin inside
You
out.
can't give it to Gus Gould again.
But there's got to be someone else.
Oh,
Could a Bellamy take over? I know he's not a
Bellamy.
massive Origin. He's not got a massive Origin history, but would he want it for a
I
couple of
think
years?
Bellamy's not interested in rep football.
I don't think he is, but there's got to be someone that I think they need some experience just to get them back on the right path.
I don't know.
Bennett did it and then passed the stage. I think to give this to a new.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
To give this team that hasn't won a series, they lost to the worst Queensland team ever in 2020 or 21.
That was Bennett. 2020.
Bennett, and then they've lost 2 series back to back to Billy Slater, who's never coached a professional team before, the Maroons, and done a little bit of an assistant. To now say, here you go, pal, go and try and fix this, and you're probably going to have to phase 5 or 6 players. I think there are 5 or 6 players who may not play for the Blues again. Realistically, you've got to find a winning combination. You've got to get Nathan Cleary working. Mitchell Moses, I was very impressed for his first Origin game in a long time. But the pack doesn't look big enough to compete. The backs, there was a break from Crichton and he just didn't look like ever beating Cherry Evans. I know Cherry Evans has a head start, but Crichton didn't look like getting there. He looked like he was in second gear. And I'm not just picking on him. Obviously, the loss of Turbo, the loss of Luttrell is massive. But other than that, first game he had everyone. He had everyone that he wanted. And they can't compete with him. So for me, Freddie goes and it's time for someone else to take over, if they can find who that would be.
Ricky Stewart. I mean, Bellamy's done it before, and that was a part of the 8 in a row.
But I don't think anyone could have beat them. Could Queensland have beat them? Could Queensland have beat Queensland? They were that good at that time. They just kept winning everything, didn't they?
Yeah.
But there was a bit of something that we all love to see every now and again, a bit of biff. Bring back the biff.
There was a bit of biff right at the very end.
Two red cards, a yellow card.
Players
Players
Trent
have come
Barrett,
together.
imagine this. Trent Barrett as New South Wales coach, Billy Slater as Queensland.
Oh,
Who would you root? Well, I know you'd root for the Blues.
I'd have to root for the Blues then to back Trent.
Barrett, yeah.
I think every Wiganer should get behind Trent Barrett if he
Joey
gets the job.
Johns could be.
I don't know. This team needs a complete revamp. It needs some fresh ideas. It needs to move players on. You've got probably the best prop in rugby league in Payne Haas.
Yeah.
And he didn't look anything like his best. You've got Junior Paolo. I know Regan Campbell-Gillard he's back playing. I know he was injured for game one, but he was nowhere near selection. I don't think, in my personal opinion, Isaiah Yeo.
It's not
His
worked,
game.
has it?
I don't think his game suits Origin.
He's stuck with his picks. Tedesco, Crichton, Yo, Luai. He's stuck with them and they've failed him again. I think when the new coach does come in, it'll be straight away. Cam Murray will be in. Liam Martin will keep his place, no doubt about that. But Cam Murray
For
will
me,
be
Luai
in.
doesn't play.
Luai won't play, I don't think.
This was the time for Luai to prove.
Campbell Graham will get in. Moses will probably keep his spot actually.
For me, Luai had to prove that he was a $1 million man.
They're probably going to be Hines and Moses for game 3.
For game 3? Yeah.
Because I think the new coach will pick one of them to partner Cleary next year.
I do. Because I just can't see it with Luai now. Is it 7 games he's lost?
He's lost 7 games, won 1 as
one.
New South Wales halfback. No,
That's not good enough, and he had to own Origin this
and
time.
all he did was get rinsed on Twitter for standing over a person he's just tackled when when you're losing.
When you're losing, and it is unfair because obviously he had Cook outside him, but that's a bad decision from the coach, in my opinion. Damien Cook shouldn't be there.
No,
But
he got rinsed, didn't he, Damien Cook? And I don't blame him.
he's not centre.
He's not a centre.
And when he landed, he took a kick at the end, and he landed, and he got took out by Adokar because they both got for the ball.
And it was a try for Nanai.
But Cook landing, you think a centre or a winger keeps hold of that because they're used to landing like that. A 9, and a smallish 9 at that, isn't used to being in that position. I think a lot of players are going to have to move on. It could be Tedesco's last series.
Did you know he used to be a beach sprinter?
Did it?
Damien Cook. No one ever mentions it,
No.
But he used to be a beach
that'd be
sprinter.
something for him to talk about.
And
that.
you know Herbie Farnworth used to play for Manchester United.
Wow.
Under 15s. They never talk about that either, do they?
No, not at all.
It's not like the Australian media to miss out on something like that, is it?
But then, apologies, there was that biff. Adokar gets a yellow card for punching someone. Then Reece Walsh and Jerome Luai decide to basically have a go at headbutting each other. One has a go and then the other has a go.
They've been watching Kate Ellis practicing technique.
Yeah, definitely. And they both got red cards. Reece Walsh, you can do this when you're 32 points to 6 up.
And you've been red carded.
And he's took some heat from the New South Wales lads. They've gone after him like we said they would. I've got to say, straight after half time, how good was that take?
Unreal.
He catches the ball probably on the 30-metre line and gets absolutely nailed by Liam Martin.
Yep.
But Martin falls off the tackle just because he's contacted and they bounce off each other.
Yeah.
Walsh gets up and nearly scores.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Tedesco makes a great diving tackle to
It
stop
was a
him.
last second tackle, wasn't it?
Because he was lightning, he beats 4 or 5 players and you just go, wow.
I don't know quite how the disciplinary works here for game 3. Do you know?
No, I don't know how that works. Whether they get the ban.
I'll have a look.
I think they'd want Reece Walsh playing. He deserves to play, in my opinion. And a bit of biff, it makes game 3 a bit interesting.
They're both going to get fined.
Both going to get fined.
We already know this. How is this mad that we already know this? That they've been fined 6 hours after the game?
I suppose it's because the Penrith play in 2 days.
Yeah, Walsh and Luai have sacrificed 23% of their match fee with early guilty pleas, or a third if they're found guilty. Adokar is 13% of his match fee.
For yellow. I suppose it's because, in theory, they could play in 2 days.
I'm not sure they will, but I think
They could, in theory, they could back up. And if I don't want to be funny, if I was Jerome Luai, I'd want to be backing up. Because I didn't put a great performance in, I've got to start getting...
That's true.
So
none of them will be missing for any games, which is... I don't know, it's Origin, isn't it? It's a separate thing.
But then, let's have a look. There was 5 games in the NRL.
Yeah.
Starting off, we had the North Queensland Cowboys against Penrith Panthers. This game actually went to extra time, but was decided by a try.
I would try that.
Both teams, obviously, Penrith missing quite a few players and Cleary being injured. The North Queensland Cowboys missing Val Holmes, Jeremiah Nanai, and a couple of bodies like that.
Well, Penrith had the half combination of Jamin Salmon and Jack Cogger, who was... He didn't set the world alight when he played for Huddersfield, did he?
But it gets to 23-23. Townsend kicked a field goal to make it 23-22 with a minute to go. Then Jack Cogger kicked one with about 20 seconds left. They actually set up to take a drop goal. Got pressed, did the North Queensland Cowboys. They throw it back inside to Scott Drinkwater for him to take a left-footed attempt. And I think it's Dylan Edwards, the Penrith fullback, who's done the extra bit of work and pressed up to try and stop him having a go. And he steps in and probably scores, but I would argue, the try of the round. Under pressure to drift to the right-hand side, step the oncoming defender and score to win your team a game against the top team in the NRL is an absolutely massive result.
Such a weird one with the Cowboys because they've been so hit and miss this season.
Yeah.
Like I think them and Manly. Like I remember the Cowboys got absolutely mauled by the Tigers.
Oh,
60.
nice.
See what I did
Don't
there?
ever say that
See
again.
what I did
Don't
there?
ever say that again,
Nicely
Lewis.
done.
Oh, was it 60 points to
66-18.
66-18?
That was
It
ridiculous.
They lost
Remember
to-
that, and then they're coming back now, and obviously Penrith are missing
Well,
a
they
couple.
beat the
but
Storm as
they
well.
beat Melbourne. Do you know what I mean? It's
Listen
like
to
they're
this,
so
right?
hit and miss.
They beat the Dragons,
Yeah.
get smashed by the West Tigers.
Mauled by the
I
Tigers.
can't say
Mauled,
it.
please.
They got convincingly beat by the West Tigers. Then they lose by 8 to Parramatta Eels, who were missing Moses through a concussion.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, they weren't. My mistake, they weren't. Week after, they go and beat Melbourne Storm, 45-20, and then beat Penrith.
They're on a run.
Both them games they won were in North Queensland.
If you're not going to say mauled by the Tigers, I want you to have a go at saying the name of North Queensland's number 17. Go on the team list.
I'll have a look.
He's a second rower. Genuinely, this is a stretch for me. I don't know how you say this thing, and I'd love for you to have a crack at it.
They got mauled by the Tigers.
Oh, right. Terrible. I'm going to have a go at saying his name.
It's quite amazing, really, that they've had 2 big wins at home against Penrith and against Melbourne, but then go away from home and get mauled by the Tigers.
He's catching on.
Go for the double.
Um,
So congratulations on coming off the bench for number 17. Are you going to give it?
I'm letting you do that.
Oh. Well, he's a second rower. His name is Kulikifu Finufeuaki.
Better effort than I would
If that's
make.
wrong, write to us, but I think that's...
Right.
Yeah, right. So it was a good luck spelling it.
Yeah. That's the best effort an Englishman's going to get at saying that name.
So can I just say,
Kulikifu, if you're listening, sorry, pal.
so you want someone to write to you how to say that name?
No, don't write to us, because I got it right, clearly.
Okay, but
Unless
surely,
it's
surely they just write it out the same way that it's spelt on the laptop, mate.
No, but they could tell me that I've said it wrong. Write it out phonetically.
So we're gonna move on then to the Knights.
Do you remember that Crystal Palace video where they all said the names phonetically and spelt it out, and one of them was Joel Ward? I think we really needed that for him.
Yeah. But then we're going to move over to Newcastle, who hosted the Roosters. And the Roosters actually won 18 points to 16. A few changes. Joey Manu probably had his best game of the season.
Oh, I was impressed.
And he played at full back. Next week, when Tedesco's back, does Manu keep his spot at full back? Because that was his best performance. Ran over 320 metres, I think it was.
Tedesco is going to be first pick for the Roosters every time, so I think it'll be Kiri and Manu in the house.
But
Who played 6 for him with Manu at fullback?
well, Luke Keary started at
Sandon
6.
Smith.
Sandon Smith played there, but Luke Keary went off with a suspected broken jaw.
Right, okay.
So I think Drew Hutchinson went to half back.
Centres again, Corey Allen and Billy Smith. Not who they would have thought they could have had.
Good for them to get Tupu back.
Well, Tupu's been back a couple of weeks now. He was back last week, and obviously Big Jared was. Who was he chasing? Bradman Best.
Yeah.
Bradman Best got through, and he's not the quickest Bradman Best, but he's quick enough. Like, he's a quick centre. For a centre, he's quick. And the only man chasing him was Big Jared Hargreaves, and I think that was just a foregone conclusion, wasn't it?
Now it was
Dom Young double for the English.
yeah.
The English interest in this.
Yeah, Dom Young bagged a double. The Knights lose this game off the back of Jackson Hastings missing a goal effectively.
Yeah.
Because it was 3 tries apiece.
Well, Kiri missed a goal as well.
Kiri missed a goal, but Sandon Smith hit a penalty right on the half-time hooter. Dom Young's second try, again, very much like Harry Smith's and Abbas Miski's moment, could not have put it any further in the corner.
Yeah, it was a great finish.
It was a great finish, and he gets absolutely smashed.
His first try was nice work from Ponga. Good work from Ponga to get him through. But his second try, yeah, it was... who got smashed? Was that Ponga as well?
I think it was.
Did Ponga put him through for both?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. Nice work there from Kielan Ponga.
But again, it was a very tight game. The Knights will be disappointed, but I think the Roosters, they've still got so much to do, because I don't know how you fix this team. They're going to miss the 8. And
The Roosters?
The Roosters.
Well, I think didn't this game put them 8th? Just
put them 9th.
9th, yeah. So it must have been...
It's a start, isn't it? But it's
Yeah.
a very long... It's a long stretch for them to try and make top 8 with them many good teams down there.
They're running now.
Yeah. So this game actually did put them 8th, but they've since ended up 11th, I guess. They've moved up at least, and they've got the Raiders next.
Raiders, Manly at Manly, Melbourne, Gold Coast, but then it's Brisbane, Manly, the Dolphins. There's some tough games they've got coming up, and they're not doing enough things right consistently for me to consider them a top 8 team.
No.
Right, let's move on. A team that definitely isn't doing enough for me to even consider them a top 8 team, and now they're missing out on Travojevic, who's going to be out for a few weeks.
Sea Eagles.
The Sea Eagles, they lost to Parramatta 34-4. The halfbacks was Ryan Matterson and
Ryan Madison are the halves. What
I
are
know,
they doing?
he was a second rower, and Dejan Assi. Obviously, Mitchell Moses is in Origin. Dylan Brown, the normal half, is suspended
Yeah.
due to an incident outside of rugby.
Yeah.
They let Brad Arthur's son, Jake Arthur, who was the backup half, leave.
After letting the backup half by the name of Jay Field leave,
Yeah.
and the backup half by the name of Bevan French leave. So, Parramatta, it's your fault that
These two in the halves.
these two are in the halves. Ryan Matheson's in the halves.
But saying that, they won 34 points to 4.
I know.
Some Manly defence was diabolical.
Yeah,
Oh,
poor game from Manly this one.
I'm stealing what you usually say about Manly here, Lewis, that they're hit and miss and they're up and down or whatever. I've not seen defence as poor as that for a long time, and I really mean that. And the coach is, what's his name? He was with Eddie Jones in the England Rugby Union
Which coach is this?
for Manly.
Seabold,
Seabold, he's massively involved.
former Brisbane coach.
Former Brisbane coach. I just can't see where this goes. And you mentioned that Jacob Arthur played against them. He played for Manly. I forgot that.
Yeah, he played in the halves.
The halves for
Yeah.
the halves for
Schuster
Manly,
and
Josh
Jacob.
Schuster, Jacob Arthurs. They were a strong team, and they've been battered.
Yeah.
Really worrying signs.
Just the centres were excellent for the Eels, Penasini and Bailey Simonson, and then the King Gothor. You said to me, as soon as they showed the clip of the tackle before the try, you just know Gothor's going to sneak in from dummy half.
He must have more tries from anybody from a metre out.
No,
And
he has.
even a
I'm
nine.
sure he has the most dummy half tries, and he's a fullback. He just sniffs a try, doesn't he?
He's brilliant. I love him, the King. Again,
Yeah.
someone else who could have very easily played Origin.
That's true. Yeah.
Could have been on the bench, could have filled in at 9, could have filled in at centre.
And he's got a great trademark celebration.
Yeah, we love it. I'm not going to demonstrate that on the dance floor. Not for me. A
Got
team.
no rhythm.
Nah, 2 left feet. So we'll go over to the West Tigers. They played Melbourne. Melbourne obviously missing Cam Munster. Obviously missing Harry Grant. 2 big losses, really.
Yeah. This one was at Campbelltown, and I've been to Campbelltown. It is rough. But you Campbelltown Sports Stadium in Sydney, and it was
Quite a convincing win. Quite easy,
Yeah.
really.
quite cold apparently.
28 points to 6 for the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, but the 6. Let's talk about the 6. The 28 for the Storm, whatever. Will Warbrick scored 4 tries, whatever. Tara and Wishart scored.
Well done, Will. But
Well done.
How can you score 4 tries in a game and not get the headlines?
Alex Twal, the big man, game 116, the longest streak ever by an NRL player without scoring a try. He's dropped the ball over the line on 4 occasions. The media have been hyping this man up for at least 12 months. Every single interview he's ever done, somebody's asked him, when are you ever going to score? And the kick gets put up, someone bats it back, and he just catches it and falls over, and that's his first try in NRL.
And he actually moved, did he?
No, he didn't move. He just stood there. He caught it and fell over. It was a try any of us could have scored. But his teammates mobbed him for it, and they went absolutely wild.
When you actually listen to the interview that we're going to post out later, it was a question from one of Deck's teammates asking, will they put him over for a try so he can celebrate like Alex Twal?
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. They were so happy for the lad.
Maybe that's why they lost this game, because this made it 6 apiece.
And then the wheels fell off.
In fact, no, it put them 6-4 up, didn't it? Because Meany missed the first goal. So it put them 6-4 up, and then they just thought, well, we've got Twiley over for a try.
Job done.
Job done. Job done for the rest of the season. That's what this has all been about.
We've done one impossible mission.
I know.
We can't beat Melbourne as well.
Well, you expect 2 miracles in one evening.
Yeah, but again, Melbourne, they were clinical.
Yeah.
Will Warwick hitting 4 tries.
Yeah.
Just unreal.
Looking really good last couple of times I've watched them now, Melbourne. They're kicking into some
Well done,
good form. The Melbourne of like the Melbourne you'd expect, really.
It's
Well
weird.
done, Melbourne.
They obviously had the big upset to North Queensland 3 weeks ago, but in the last 5, they beat Brisbane, they beat the Dolphins, lost to Melbourne. They absolutely smashed
We've
Cronulla.
lost to North Queensland. You mean?
Lost to North Queensland, sorry. Smashed Cronulla and beat the West quite convincingly. That seems like a team that's getting back on the winning way and is finding its own shape.
I'm just looking out. I was just interested then to see the Storm are up to 3rd now, and I was just interested to see they've gone past the Rabbitohs. I think they might have already been ahead of them actually with the bye week. I'm just interested to see what odds they are to win the comp.
But why don't we have a look at that at the end of this?
It's really interesting here. The Storm are at $7, so 7-1 to win the competition, sitting in 3rd. The favourites are Penrith at $3.20.
That's quite a lot considering they're missing Cleary and they don't know how long he's going to be out for.
Yeah, the Rabbitohs sit at 4th at $4.50. The Broncos are top of the league, $5.50, 3rd favourites. But if I have a look down at the list, it's wild, this. Because obviously, it's not just league position, it's where you're actually, what you've actually done in the past. Because in 8th place, the Eels are at $19. At 9th place, the Titans are $126. 126 to 1, one place lower than 19.
They've never got. Have they got to a semi-final before?
And then 11th is the Roosters, who are on $26. So the Roosters are still 26 to 1, which is 5th favourites, I make them.
Yeah. See, this was a conversation that I listened to with Gus Gould on his podcast, and he actually said
6th favourites.
that if the Roosters get there, they've got the players in Tedesco, Manu, Kiri, Suoli, Tupu, Big Jared, who know how to win them games, and if they get to the playoffs, you can't write them off.
I just want you to both guess what Sportsbet has West Tigers at to win the comp.
Are they the least favourites?
They're the least favourites, the bottom of the league.
Least favourites ahead of St George. I'd have put them even less with the news.
So
of Ben
St
Hunt.
George and the Bulldogs are joint second bottom, I suppose, and they're joint longest odds.
So West are 300.
But West are 300 to 1.
That's what I'm going for.
I'll go 200 to 1.
500 to 1. 500
Wow.
to 1. Bulldogs and the Dragons are both 400s. The Knights are 200s, and then it's $61 for the Cowboys. So the bookies are basically drawing a line under the Cowboys, aren't they? And saying no.
And the Titans.
Well, yeah, the Titans are
Who are actually in the top 8.
because the Titans are actually only out of the top 8 on points difference.
Oh, they sorry.
So that's a weird one, that. But they're basically drawing a line under 13th, which is still lower than most years. So the bookies still think there's 13 teams can get in. There's only 1 point lower, though, for the Knights. I think they might be a bit premature in ruling out the Knights there, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's interesting. But we're going to go on to the last game. And last week we talked about the audition for Origin being between
Nico.
Mitch Mosley's playing for the Eels against the Bulldogs and Nico Hines at the Sharks playing against Melbourne. And I said that's a bit of an unfair situation for Nico because he's playing against the Millwall side that had just been battered. Well, this week they got the chance to put it right because they actually played the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs were missing the Fox and they were also missing Matt Burton, who was called up as 18th man.
It's always annoying that, isn't it, when they get called up to and they don't even play.
And they don't even play.
Yeah.
But this side...
And he's so important to them as well.
Yeah, so important. It meant a return for Carl Flanagan.
Yes, Carl Flanagan as interchange hooker, or did he start off? I can't remember.
But Cronulla win
Yeah,
48 points to 10. Nico Hines misses one kick attempt.
Yeah, he kicked 8 out of 9.
Kicked 8 out of 9. The big question mark for me, and we mentioned this with Daryl Olafers 3 or 4 weeks ago, when you score early and you give it a big celebration. No, there was an even worse one in this. Carl Flanagan, at 18-0 down,
After half an hour,
18-0 down, scores and gets up, starts smashing the badge, saying, "This is our town, this is our ground, this is our home." You're 18-4 down, mate.
And Shark Park is, well, Shark's home.
Exactly.
It's obvious, it's not called Bulldog Park, is it?
It was such a weird thing, and I'm watching the game going, I've not just seen him do that.
Weird. Well, and they say, oh, it's against his former club. Yeah, well, Carl Flanagan's got more clubs than Tiger Woods.
He's played at a fair few clubs in
So,
Ireland.
okay, he's always playing against his former club.
Who's he been at now? Cronulla. He's been at the Roosters.
Well, I always remember him at the Roosters, yeah.
Was he at St George as well for a spell?
Wherever his dad's coached, usually. So, yeah.
So that was a really
he'll be
weird...
at St George next.
A really weird moment. But Nico Hines, I'm not going to say back to his best, but he was confident and played with a little bit of confidence that he's been missing in the last few weeks.
Rumours are he's coming to Leeds. Imagine him and Daryl Alfords on the same team. They'd score 40 points down and start doing a tag team or a choreographed celebration.
Wow, that would be interesting.
Celebrate more when they're losing.
Who's not going to be at Leeds next year?
Oh, I don't know. Well, Matt Lodge's dog, apparently, because that deal's off.
Yeah. What for the dog?
Yeah,
What's the dog doing wrong?
They're still getting Matt, but they didn't like the dog's defensive capabilities.
But they are linked with everyone, and
I know, Leeds are always linked with everybody. So are we usually, but it's a nice...
with Leeds being at 18th and 18th, sorry,
Oh,
with
which
Leeds
is 18th.
struggling outside of the top 8.
Yeah. Struggling to make the 8.
I can understand why they are linked with everyone.
Avarillo's leaving the Bulldogs, isn't he? We've talked about
Yes.
how exciting he is, Avarillo. In the past, exciting, very quick centre. He caught...
Good player.
Who was it?
He caught Nico Hines.
Was it Nico Hines?
Yeah.
So he caught
He's
Nico
no
Hines.
slouch himself. He's not lightning, but he's no slouch.
No, and he had a head start on Avarillo as well. They did eventually score down the left.
But he did so well to even get back to just stop him.
Scored, but yeah, he did very well. And he's going to the Dolphins.
Yes, up the Finns.
That's a good signing.
Very, very good signing.
That's a good signing for the Finns.
We talked about the Dogs and this rebuild that they're going through. They've already announced that they've signed Stephen Crichton for next season.
Yeah. Kickout will be fit. You'd think Kickout will be fit and firing next season as well, because obviously this season he's been plagued with bad injuries.
There's obviously the issue with Luke Thompson. It was only the other day that there was a big announcement about Luke Thompson's injury.
Well, yeah, Gus Gould said his season's basically over.
Basically over, and
bad as
the reports that I saw were, they described it really quite well.
I've seen they say it's the ACL of the foot, don't they?
Yeah,
ACL obviously being the main tendon that runs through the knee.
It's described as
it's basically makes it very hard to balance, walk. It's an absolute grueling rehab process because it's not just a broken foot. So apparently, yeah, this is like one of the worst. When you find it's a foot injury, it's one of the worst feared foot injuries for the clubs and the physio team because the rehab is so hard and it can be a real problem. And it's a shame really because I was looking forward to seeing him kick on in the NRL and see what he could do.
It's 5 or 6 weeks for Kickout, and it just says indefinite for Luke Thompson.
It was described by the NRL physio, who, if you don't follow on Twitter, I would suggest you go and follow because he does look at pretty much every injury that happens in Super League, in NRL.
Yeah.
Any major injuries and tells
and
you...
even in any major sporting events.
Yeah, tells you what's happened and what the chances of someone coming back. And he said it is considered highly unlikely that Luke Thompson will return this year as he continues to recover from a Liz Frank injury suffered in pre-season. Now, over 3 months post-surgery, often aim is to return at this time. But Liz Frank injuries are well known for tough and extended rehabs. It's not uncommon to see recovery from this injury in the NRL extend beyond 5 months. It's described as the ACL of the foot. in walking, running, changing directions, accelerating. The function of the midfoot is vital. It helps to stabilise and transfer force through the foot, which is crucial in sports like rugby league. Overall, a complex injury and recovery that makes it one of the more feared injuries in rugby league. He may not play again this season.
Yeah, it's quite famous in the NFL because if you get like trodden on, that's how you can get it. But it's one of the highest risks if you play on it. Yeah. It's not an injury you can play with because it just completely
it'll go again.
Foot, yeah.
So that's a real big loss, and that's a disappointment for him that he's probably lost a year of his career.
And one where he should be in his
prime. How old is he now? 27, 28, I want to say.
Yeah.
That's a year at his prime in the NRL in a developing Bulldog side. I just hope he can come back.
Obviously, looking to get into the England squad for the Tonga series as well and things like that.
It's unfortunate, isn't it? Like I'm looking at the casualty ward here on NRL.com, which is an excellent feature.
Why does Super League not have something like that?
Because they don't have the information, they can't be bothered. But there's so many injuries at the moment in the NRL, and I know Super League would be the same, but it's just because there's so many teams, it looks worse. But there's just so many that indefinite next season. It just feels like there's more injuries than usual at this stage.
I always think every 4 or 5 seasons you get a season where all the players seem to pick up longer injuries. I don't know why that's a feeling.
And maybe even just big players like Pappenhausen indefinite, Travojevic will be indefinite. In fact, all 3 Travojevics are on here.
Well, the Pappenhausen one last season was ridiculous, wasn't it? He completely shattered his kneecap.
If I look at the Roosters on here, they're missing Fletcher Baker, who would make their 17 probably, Victor Radley, Tupanua, Keary, Suaalii, Brandon Smith, Connor Watson, Paul Moborowski and Sam Walker.
Who probably could all play.
They probably would all play, yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
They're in a difficult place, most teams.
The Knights are missing 6 players, the Dolphins are missing 7, Bulldogs are missing 5. It's just really, like, at this point of the season, the Warriors are missing 9 players. 9 players.
It's amazing that you can even deal with that and cope.
And 4 of them are season enders. Charlie Staines, indefinite with that perforated bowel we spoke about before.
That's just a freak.
Adam Dewey's out for the next 14 years, I think, with that bad injury. Coruscant's out for another 5 with his broken jaw. Brooks is now out for 4 weeks. Like, how did the Tigers go without Brooks, Coruscant and Dewey? The bottom of the league.
And Staines.
Well, and Staines, yeah, but that's the... I mean, Staines had been playing fullback, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So your fullback, your 6, your 7 and your 9 are all out injured for the next 5 weeks.
Can't do anything with that, can you?
What are you meant to do? How are you going to win a game?
Well, we've finished on a little bit of a moan there about NRL injuries.
Well, it's unfortunate. It's not really moan. Like,
it's the facts of the matter, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what else you're going to do about it. It's just annoying. It's just unfortunate that it's happened like this.
But we're going to take a quick break there and we'll come back with some quick fire predictions. Thank you. So guys, we are back with our final section. We're going to predict the games of Super League this week. We're going to start off on Thursday. Now, we mentioned it when this happened to Wigan, and it's only fair that we mention it again now. St Helens having to travel to Hull FC on a Thursday night. That is shocking. It should not be allowed. An hour, I can get maybe an hour and a half travel, but that far on a Thursday night, it's just not fair for the fans, is it, at all?
No.
But we're going to predict it. It's a repeat of the Challenge Cup quarter-final. Hull FC vs St Helens. Matty, who are you going?
St Helens again. I think they'll win again.
Lewis?
Yeah, I think it'll be a close one with Hull being at home and it being a difficult journey for Saints, but I do think they'll pull through and get the win.
I think this is going to be a convincing win for Saints, I'm going to be honest.
Convincing win for Saints.
Yeah.
Now, on Friday night, we get the pick of the games to watch. Leeds vs Huddersfield.
Why can't that be on the Thursday? Do you know what I mean? Like, think about it logically. Leeds versus Huddersfield.
You couldn't get 2 teams much closer together.
We play on the Sunday. We'll go to Salford. That could be a Thursday game.
Yeah. Just don't plan it, do they?
No. But Leeds vs Huddersfield. I think this game was described as the Huddersfield Giants follow the process Ian Watson versus super coach Rohan Smith, who is playing completely no structure, or short kickoffs versus absolute structure.
This is the movable object against the stoppable force. This game.
I think that's the way to explain it, because it is Huddersfield that is absolutely everything to do with structure and following the plan and being in games long.
Boring.
Versus St Helens, who
Leeds.
Against Leeds, who try everything. They try short dropouts. They play off the cuff. They don't have a structure, and both teams are struggling at the moment. So it's going to be a really interesting game. But
We wouldn't have said these two teams would be well outside the top 8 when they played each other on June 23rd.
well, one got to a grand final, one got to a Challenge Cup final last year.
Exactly.
Both finished in the
Top 6.
The top 6. Leeds actually scraped in at 5th. Huddersfield finished 3rd last year, and this fall off has been quite substantial, really. But who are you going to go?
I'll go for Leeds because they're at home, but whatever. This game's going to be boring.
I think Leeds, because I think they have to bounce back after that loss to Wakey.
Yeah.
I can't decide, so I'm going to go slightly different, just to be different. I'm going to go Huddersfield. I think they showed some good things in their last game against Warrington. Then we go over to the Menderhorse Jungle.
Do we have to?
Well, we're all going to pick the same on this,
I've
aren't
made
we?
that joke before, haven't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, Warrington are going to win this one.
Cass vs Warrington. Matty's gone Warrington. Lewis,
Yeah, Wire.
I can't back last these men, I'm sorry. It's wire for me. Back over to Hull.
Yeah.
Hull KR vs Wakefield. Can Wakey back it up with another win against the injury, the list of injuries?
As long as you're out.
As long as you're out for Hull KR.
No. I think Hull KR will win this game.
Lewis?
It's the best opportunity Wakefield have got with a depleted side, and that winning the Challenge Cup that took a lot out of KR, but I still think KR will win.
Back him.
I can't back Wakey.
Back the big bopper. David Favita hat-trick.
One win against Leeds
Yeah.
doesn't change my opinions on them, even though I was very happy for them. I still think KR, with 7-8 players out, are still too strong for them. I would like Wakey to win, but I'm going to have to go KR.
Just make it very interesting at the bottom of the table.
Yeah,
if
well,
Wakey were to win and
Yeah.
Cass were to lose to Wire,
Yeah,
that'd
certainly
make it
would, yeah.
very interesting.
So then, Saturday, Catalans versus Lee. Catalans are probably the most informed team, top of the table, having only lost 4 games this season.
Yeah, but Lee.
But Lee have only lost 1 more. They've only lost 5. The last time these two teams played was a while back now. Did they play at the start of the season? Yeah, they played in Catalans at the start of the season. Catalans won 14 points to 6. But these two sides have massively improved since then. Matty, who are you going?
I'm going to go for a similar margin for Catalan to win again. I just think it might be one step too far for the Leopards, who obviously they're missing O'Donnell now. They're missing Hardaker. They keep winning. We said every week, no team can keep winning. We said it about South, we said it about Brisbane, we said it about Wigan, we said it about Leigh.
Warrington,
yet Hull. No team can keep winning. I think this is the one. It's a tough game away from home. You're going on the plane. I think this is one step too far for Leigh.
It wouldn't be a bad one to lose.
No, you're right. Most teams go to Catalan and get beat anyway, so
Lewis, who you
I'm going
sticking
for
with?
Catalans.
Sorry, I'm being boring. I just keep on going what Matty's saying, but I was just about to say before Matty did that, I think they're due a loss.
Yeah.
I think they're due a loss, and like you've just said there, Tom, I think they'll go, even if they do end up losing, no, but like I said about Hull KR the other week, get back home and just do a reset and go back to it from there. So
Better teams and worse teams will lose.
We'll go to Catalan and losing the South. So you're right, Matty. So yeah, I'm going to go Catalan as well.
So this is 5 league wins in a row for Catalan. They did lose in that against Warrington in the Cup.
That was close, that.
But in the league, they beat Saints, Cass, Wakey, Wigan and Hull KR. I think their streak is going to carry on. I think they're going to beat Leigh.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be successful for the next couple of weeks and keep getting points. So I've got to back Catalans.
They're a good team.
Now the final game is Salford versus Wigan. A game I wouldn't have minded on a Thursday because it's not that far of a travel.
No, and we can't go with it being on Sunday because our game's been moved to Sunday itself.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain, unfortunately. I'm not even going to ask. We've all gone Wigan, obviously, but maybe a better question would be: we always back Wigan because I can never see us losing. Matty, who are you going? By how much are you going by?
Not by much.
Less than 10?
Less than 10. Yeah, less than 10. I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a bit of magic again. I think this is going to be a real tough game. Low scoring. Yeah.
Lewis, by how
I'm
much?
going to go a bit more. I'm going to go 14.
Oh, you just thought what I was going to say. I had Wigan by 14. I'll be the confident one. I'll say 16.
Confident one. We all said we'll win.
I think we'll win by 3 tries.
Okay, that's
Harry Smith to kick everything.
That's optimistic, but I'm happy to go with it. Saturday with no game for us on Saturday, there's a potential for us to go to the Wheelchair Magic Weekend.
Yeah.
Deck mentioned to you on the interview.
The interview's actually going out tomorrow.
Tomorrow 6 p.m. Yes. Thursday that is if you're listening.
So it'd be good for you guys to listen to what Deck said about the wheelchair game. It was a really, really insightful interview.
So it's in Manchester, isn't it? And it's free entry.
Yep.
For the PDRL and for the Wheelchair Magic Weekend. I think we're going to run at 12 noon.
Yep.
I believe against London Roosters.
Well, I said...
I looked it up today.
Decky's going to message us the address. He's going to give us all the times and the details. We will tweet that tomorrow and Friday and Saturday to remind everyone. And it'll be good for Wigan to bring as many people down as possible. Wearing the cherry and white. And even if you're just in Manchester for the day, why not nip over for half an hour and watch the first half or something like that and go and support the lads?
Free after all.
Yeah, go and support the lads. It's in Manchester City Centre. We'll post the address. It would be really good for us all to go and support the lads best we can. Anyone else got anything to say?
No.
Don't all jump in at once, lads.
No, it's...
we just talked for 2 hours about rugby league. Pretty tapped out.
I always keep saying, don't we need to shorten these episodes, and then for some reason we just keep on getting longer each week.
They can't shorten it.
We only had Origin and 4 NRL games. I think it still will end up being a 35 minutes segment.
Well, we've got 4 quarter-finals to talk about, 4 NRL games in State of Origin. Okay, it's still 2 hours. But it's all them suspensions we got going on, suspensions.
No, forget that.
Review panels.
We beat Warrington with 12 men for 73 minutes.
In a quarter-final.
They thought they'd won it. We saw the disappointment. Liam Moore giving the forward pass, very rightly. I'd have been more annoyed if it hadn't been given.
Well done, Mullet.
Yeah. Great decision. Was forward all day long. It's amazing how everyone sees every decision as wrong when it's against your team. It was forward for me. And I just love beating Warrington.
Wigan Week strikes again.
Wigan Week. Oh, I forgot about that. Why did we not mention that?
Someone didn't tell Daryl Powell it was Wigan Week.
Wigan Week. You highlighted in the calendar every week.
He gave him 2 days off. No one told him it was Wigan Week.
Wigan Week. You highlighted in the calendar. You work up to it. That must be the worst interview because every time you lose on Wigan Week...
Yeah. And they couldn't set fire to the bucket hats either because they were too wet through from getting rained on.
Oh, I just love it. The gift that keeps on giving. How many wins has Powell got against Wigan and Saints now?
Well, he's played Wigan and Saints 7 times as Warrington coach and he has won 0.
I was going to say Steve Price is about 50% win streak.
Steve Price had 50% against both of them, but he played Saints 9 times and Wigan 15. Did feel like we played Warrington 15 times a year.
Played 3 times a season and then the cup and then the playoffs.
So we had 50% win rate against Saints and Wigan.
Which is very, very strong.
Yeah, admirable, especially considering that it was the time when Saints were particularly dominant. And one of those times Wigan got to the grand final. So
and won a Challenge Cup in that. Powell.
0 for 7. Get your act together. Beat some big teams.
That's going to be the target for him now because he has to. There's talks of them striving on an underdog mentality. When you're near the top of the table, you can't be underdogs every week. Not against the big team.
Also, I think that's what's stopping them.
I think
they're winning the games they should be winning. All right, they've had a good couple of wins maybe against Catalans in the Cup, but obviously then went to put in a shocking performance against us, completing less than 50%. You can't do it against the big teams, and you're not going to win Cup finals. You're not going to win Grand finals.
Yeah.
You've got to beat big teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've already talked about it enough, and I suppose we could talk about it for another 2 hours. it's been a pleasure, guys.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Always fun.
It's always a little bit better though when we're winning it.
Yeah,
It's more fun when we win.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more fun.
That'll be nice this week
So-
after a win.
Hopefully we'll back it up with another win next week.
Yeah,
For next week's episode.
Against Salford.
Against Salford. So thank you very much and thank you for listening. Leave your feedback in any comments.